two, one. Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to episode 12 of Fish and Grits, the podcast. A lot of people say they want to know what most known unknowns means. It means 3-6 Mafia known, but they're still unknown. You know what I'm saying? This week's episode is brought to you by the pizza that I'm going to be eating and muting the mic while we're recording. I'm Lionel McNamara, your host Malone for tonight. I'm joined with my usual suspects, Marco.
What's up, guys?
Micah.
How's everybody doing?
And Ryan.
Hey guys, it's me.
Welcome to what will probably end up being a relatively sports light podcast episode. We have a bunch of stuff, and we've got a very special guest lined up for the second half of the episode if she shows up, if she gets her time zones correct. So stay tuned for that. It'll be pretty exciting. But Carl, if you're listening, this one will be probably pretty light on sports. Carl doesn't like sports. He just likes cars.
For you.
This is the only one you get. A public service announcement really quick. I'm wearing a different Atlanta United jersey because, as previously stated before we started recording, I'm big comparatively. So I'm wearing a replica of the 2019-2020 jersey. You can tell because I don't have the star above the badge, and I'm also missing some piping and stuff like that. Hibbett Sports has got these joints for like 60% off. I copped mine for $35.
Can't beat
Oh,
that.
yeah?
With free shipping. The authentic is like $110, and the replica is usually like $80. So if you're like me and quarantine has got you significantly over your goal weight, but you still want to rep the 5 stripes, head on over to Hibbett Sports. Not a sponsor. Hibbett Sports. They're not a sponsor.
Are only the large sizes discounted?
They were all discounted.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be just like extra small. You know, sometimes you see that it's like 50% off, and all the only sizes I have left are like double XS
Right.
and like, you know,
5X.
yeah, they had everything though. So I was like, word up.
Let's do it.
UTD.
You guys want to hear a funny story?
Yes, sir.
Always.
All right, so you know, we rep the soy sauce on this podcast every week for free. Not a sponsor, but I wish Carl would make enough money to make us a sponsor. Fish and Grits podcast brought to you by soy sauce. So I bought a couple bottles of Reaper at the end of not this batch, but the last batch, like right at the end of the last batch. So that's been like a month or something like that almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I put them on top of my fridge because I didn't have any room in the fridge. And so I have a bottle of Reaper that I've been keeping in my fridge, and it's been getting significantly spicier as it's been going on. Like when I first got it, I was like, this is hot, but I can hang. And then like a couple weeks later, I was like, man, this is fine. I ain't no bitch. And then like last week I had someone, I was like, I hurt, right? I put some on some tacos and it wrecked me. Well, so I got these other bottles of Reaper to make some wing sauce with them because I also got an air fryer. And I was like, I'm gonna make some wangs.
I saw this.
Right. So I put my wings in the air fryer, right? And I'm like air frying them, and I'm like, I don't know how this toaster oven shit works, and that was funny. But then I'm making the wing sauce, and you know, like I had 2 bottles of the Reaper, so I was like, I'll just start with 1 bottle and see how it goes.
Use the whole thing?
Yeah. Dropped my 1 bottle in. I dropped in a cup of butter, right? Well, first I like low and slowed the butter, right, till it was nice and creamy. Then I whisked in my my hot sauce, and then I did a little squirt of honey, right, and just a skosh of Worcestershire sauce, right?
Sure.
I like mix that shit up and then put it in my mouth, and I burned my taste buds on my tongue because it was so spicy. It was so spicy that I was like hyperventilating. I like drank like this sweetened almond milk out of the fridge, like out of the bottle, and Jackson's like, Dad, are you okay? Like, don't tell your mom. Because, you know, Jess is still quarantined in the bedroom, right? Waiting on her COVID results.
West outside in the house.
Oh, man. So I ended up putting a whole other stick of butter in and squeezing a whole bunch more honey and Worcestershire, right? And a little bit of garlic powder, just a smidge. and mixing it up. And it was still like, it was manageable for me, you know, it still kicked Jess's ass, right? But like, I was fine.
Making some
but-
Dolo dad mistakes.
Man, dude, I was like, and I didn't want to tell Carl. I didn't want to tell him that he's going to hear it if he listens to the podcast. But I did. He was like, "You made that wing sauce?" Because, you know, of course, I like post it on Instagram and whatever. So you made that wing sauce? I was like, "Yeah, man, it was spicy as hell. It was great." He's like, "Oh, really? I thought the Reaper wasn't that spicy." I was like, "Leave that shit on top of your fridge for 2 weeks, bro. It gets way worse."
Shit matured on you.
Yeah, it's like a wine you put down in your wine cellar. But it was really good. That soy sauce it's got some depth to that flavor. So I was happy with it. If y'all don't have an air fryer, highly recommend it, because those wings were mwah.
It's like air fryers can't get chicken wrong for some reason. It's like,
Well, and it's like up to my at-home fry games, like to a whole nother level right now. Like I can't wait to put some tots in there. I think I'm gonna do some tots next week.
will you put frozen ones or you chop them up?
No, I put them just straight frozen. The ones I did with the wings were Whole Foods Everyday 365 or whatever.
Okay.
Because I got a Amazon Fresh delivery because Daddy needed some toilet paper, and
Do you put
Amazon had
aluminum
it.
in there? Or do you put like aluminum in the air fryer, or you just put them on the thing?
The one that I got comes with a basket that goes over the drip pan, and it looks like a toaster oven. So it's not like one of those like pot ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's got a little bit more air circulation. So I just hit the basket with some cooking spray. Then I hit the fries with some cooking spray. Did some seasoning salt. Chucked that mug in there, and I used like one cooking appliance, which was the air fryer, and like 2 bowls, and that was it. It took like 40 minutes, and I had wings and fries and carrots, and the kids didn't have sauce on their wings, so we're good.
I love my air fryer too. And soy sauce, man. That mango be kicking. It's so good. I use so much of it, but I paid for that on the back end. Like really, for the past couple days. but it's so good.
Micah, you just got some soy sauce, right?
I did. Love that mango. And pizza's pretty good too, but that mango with the sweetness, with the heat to it. Like I said, I let some of my coworkers try it, and some of them are wimps. But the one who likes spicy stuff even was just like, it's too hot for me. I think I got a seed. Like,
oh, you got a seed in there.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like shaking it into my wing sauce, right? And then I see like a seed on like the counter, and I'm like, why'd I do that?
I put that shit in everything.
Right? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit, just while we're joshing a little bit. I'm also going to pull up the soy sauce Instagram page because he's doing a giveaway for
Sway
some
merch.
Yep, in 10 minutes. So if we all go quiet, you know. So I used to not be able to hang with spicy food, right? Like growing up. So I grew up for 15 years in Chicago. My mom is from Missouri, and my dad is from Minnesota. And my dad's Irish, my mom's Danish mostly. So like there's not a lot of seasoning at all, but not a lot of spice in that level of Caucasian family. And we didn't have like Mexican food really. Like we had some Mexican restaurants, but it's not like we got now, like. So I used to think that Domino's buffalo wings, those ones that they would like bake and they'd be like super soggy and the skin would be falling off.
Yeah.
I used to think those were hot, like spicy.
Boy, those were hot sometimes though. Oh, I won't even lie.
Super
Sometimes
inconsistent.
those shits were unbearable.
But like that's where my love of like, buffalo and blue cheese came from, was that. But like I didn't have a taste for like spicy food.
You're a blue cheese or ranch guy?
Blue cheese.
Really?
Same.
Yeah, blue cheese. Unless it's Wingstop Ranch. That stuff is.
Ooh, Wingstop Ranch is on another level. You're right. But I'm a ranch guy all day.
No, well, you are more
Sorry.
Caucasian than me, so that makes sense. You're gonna get that ranch up, cranch, the ketchup ranch mix. Anyway, so
I've tried
like
it. It's not that good.
I couldn't do spicy food until like 10 years ago, 9 years ago, when I got out of the Marine Corps, and I decided. I was like, I'm gonna be vegetarian for a while. And I've done this a couple of times. And the longest that I've hit was like 19 months, I think. But like while I was eating it, I was like, nothing tastes like anything. It's just vegetables. This is bullshit. Somebody's like, well, that's why you just got to make it spicy. That's why Indian food is spicy. It's like, huh. Now I'm like, is that racist? I can't tell anymore. Like, it could be. But so I started, like, I bought a bottle of sriracha because it's me. So, you know, like, I don't ever like half-ass stuff. You know, I'm just like, go big. And so I put sriracha on almost everything I ate for like 6 months until now. You know, like I'm like, let me just try this Reaper sauce, whatever. You know, like I'm hanging. You know, so like we made this wing sauce, and you know, I was worried that my stomach was gonna have some issues, Marco, like what you were saying. I'm in good, man.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing. I actually am tolerating Carl's hot sauce better than Carl does.
Really?
He's like, I'm worried for your intestines. I was like, shut up, Carl. What, Ryan?
Didn't you used to have a stomach problem, like really bad? You couldn't eat meat, and you had to eat like. You're the one that put me on the Greek honey vanilla yogurt.
Yeah, man. I used to have really, really bad stomach issues. And then we got the Greek Gods honey vanilla yogurt. And I had been avoiding meat consistently for, I think this was when I was like 19 months, because I'd figured out that was a trigger for my guts. And I ate this Greek yogurt. It was like, you know, it's like, it's got probiotics. Gut health is important, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to talk about it. So I ate it, and then we were on our way. It was Columbus Day 2015, because Jackson was 3. And we're on our way up to Chattanooga, because it's a long weekend for CDC employees. And we stop at Crystal on the way up. And I was like, dope, let's get some Crystal. So we did. And I was like, I'm going to pay for this later. And I didn't pay for it later. And then we got to Chattanooga, and we ate at my favorite Chattanooga restaurant, which is the Blue Plate Diner. Right? Yeah. And we got the fried chicken with like the fried cornbread and mashed potatoes and
Fried cornbread.
By the way, Chattanooga is an underrated city.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is
And they've
insane.
got municipal fiber internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like $30 a month. Anyway, so we ate that stuff, and I was like, my guts are fine. And that's when I found out that probiotics are really good for you. So yeah, and then that same week, and then we're gonna switch topics, but I just want to say my favorite Jackson story ever was from that trip to Chattanooga. We were going down to go to a pizza restaurant that one of my students recommended from when I taught genetics. The student was like, oh, you're in Chattanooga, go to this pizza restaurant. We went down there, shit was closed. So we're walking around, I see a Sticky Fingers barbecue. And I was like, yup. Because now that my guts are fixed, I was like, put the pork in me. So we went into Sticky Fingers, right? And like barbecue's like a religion for me. I think I've said that a couple times. Is put the pork in me going to be the name of the episode? Stick that pork in me. So we go into Sticky Fingers.
My guts are fixed. Put the pork in me.
I can't wait. So we go in the restaurant where, you know, it like smells like smoky. I get my sweet tea. I get my pulled pork plate, whatever we're ordering. Guy comes up and he's like, what do you want? And we go look at Jackson, who's 3, right? I'm like, Jackson, why don't you order your own food? And this dude, like, he can't read, right? And he's like, I want chicken wings. He had never eaten a chicken wing before in his life. And we were like, what? I was like, we have smoked wings. Yeah, we can do it. He's like, I want chicken wings. We're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So he got like 3 like drumettes, right? Smoked drumettes with like ranch they didn't touch, some celery, and some tots. As soon as the food came out, this memory is burned in my head. He picks up this chicken wing and goes, ow, and just like he crushes these wings. I cannot get this man to eat a chicken wing since. It's been 5 years. I keep just being like, you love wings. He's like, no, I don't. I was like, bro, I have a picture of you like housing this wing. And it was the weirdest, like, he's just like, I want chicken wings. It's like, were you possessed?
When in Rome.
You know, like, yeah. Anyway, that's enough. Go to @sway sauce _ in between 2 Y's in the sway on Instagram. Get you some fucking hot sauce. This is why we have an explicit label on our podcast. So let's talk some current events. It was Robin Williams' 69th birthday. Was that today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 69. Nice.
Clubber.
Nice. I miss Robin Williams.
Yeah.
You know?
Man's a goat.
And
he was
like I don't
underappreciated.
For real. I don't usually get like sad when celebrities die, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because like I'm just now getting to the age where like the celebrities that I like are gonna die. But like that one still fucks me up, man. Like
I think it's because of the way he went too.
Isn't it weird though how Family Guy had that episode? Did y'all see that?
Mm-mm.
Where like there was a whole bunch of Robin Williams and they kept on like regenerating, and they all just they wanted to kill themselves. It was before he died, but it was a very strange episode. The whole episode was about Robin Williams having to kill himself. It's really weird.
you know what, Marco? Now I want to believe in all your conspiracy theories because of that. Don't worry. We'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, man. I just like I guess I just because I relate to Robin Williams on a lot of levels, you know, like and like he went, and then pretty quickly after that you had Chris Cornell and then Chester Bennington.
Wait, we know why they died though.
Who's Chester Bennington look like, Lionel?
Linkin Park. Oh wait,
Yeah.
okay. Who does he look like?
Yeah.
Let's not go down that hole.
That's a long rabbit hole.
No, we're not doing that. This is a Chester Bennington appreciation zone. I will accept no slander.
Oh, it's
No,
not
it's
slander.
not slander. He was a hero. Or he was gonna be a hero.
Is this a Jeffrey Epstein thing?
Not quite, sort of. Fringes of that. It's more of a save the children kind of thing. Specifically in Haiti.
Oh, the Haiti thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had one of my crazy Marines hit me with that the other day too. He's like, don't use Google because they block the searches. Also, I wouldn't use DuckDuckGo. Have you ever heard of a VPN? And I was like,
Oh my God.
Welcome
Yeah.
to 2020. You finally made it.
I've had a VPN app I put a VPN app on my phone like 6 years ago, and I had one specifically when I was at CDC to like speed the internet up. And it works at my current company too. But I was in the office and I was getting like 700 KB down. And I was like, this is trash. And I turned my VPN on and I was at like 35 megs. And I was like, idiots. Hey, Nikki.
She cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Robin Williams, man. I think with Robin Williams, like his commitment to making people happy. You know, there's that story about how like Christopher Reeves, after he, fell off that horse and whatever, he was in the hospital, and Robin comes in dressed as a doctor and starts like screwing with him and like, you know, just like talking about having to amputate his dick and balls and whatever. And they're talking about, he was saying that that's like the only time he laughed after he got in that accident. You know what I mean? And to have somebody like that, like go to lengths like that to make people happy, but then, you know, to find that it's all because he was miserable, you know?
Yeah.
It sucks.
I mean, it's a quality that is shared by a lot of funny men.
Yeah.
Professional funny men.
Well, just look at Dave, man. You know, when Dave Chappelle disappeared. Dave Chappelle, man, when he disappeared. He disappeared, then he came back and shot season 3 of Chappelle's Show and then disappeared again. And like no one heard from him.
Right.
Part of that, you know, he was saying is it was like, you know, I was losing my mind. Now he's fine. He's saving Kanye.
Is he?
Did he go?
Yeah, he's in Wyoming. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I missed that.
Yeah.
I thought Kanye was in South Carolina.
No, he's in Wyoming because that's where he lives now. That's where his studio is ever since
I want to
Ye.
live there. I've always wanted to live in like Montana or one of those places, just so you can see like the beautiful stars at
The
night.
Big Sky State.
Yeah.
The stars at night are big and bright.
Right. It makes you feel small and puts life in perspective.
You watched City Slickers when you were a kid, didn't you?
City Slickers. What's that?
Oh, you haven't seen City Slickers?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Billy Crystal?
Micah, you've seen City Slickers?
Yes, I've seen that one and the second one.
Thank
Two is
God.
okay.
I was trying to figure out if this was like a generational thing because Marco's like 14, or if this is one of those like white people, black people movies. You know what I mean? It's sort of like how okay, so Micah, confirm this for me.
Hello.
What?
That's from City Slickers when he's.
Oh, I don't
birthing the
remember.
calf. Hello.
I only watched it once when I was like
Is it worth seeing?
11.
Pretty
Yes. So Jess comes home from the office a little while ago. She's like, did you know that at Thanksgiving, Black people don't eat mashed potatoes? They eat potato salad?
What?
And I was like, is your coworker messing with you? Like, she had a coworker that like they did like a Thanksgiving dinner at her office, and they brought in mashed potatoes. And one of her coworkers was like, Jess, you know this is white girl food. We don't eat that.
I hate when people do stuff like that.
So I need confirmation, because you two are the friends that I talk about when I'm just like, I'm not racist. I have Black friends. I need like I need confirmation. Micah, do you eat mashed potatoes?
I eat mashed potatoes, but I've never had it for Thanksgiving.
Really?
What do you do instead for your starch for Thanksgiving?
Well, I mean, we do a lot of other things.
Yams,
Sometimes potato salad. Then my mom makes a sweet potato casserole. So I mean, we do other things. Cornbread. We got cornbread rolls. We got a lot of starches. So
it's like 6 different types of bread.
Yeah. So
that's how you can tell that Americans are all the same, is because we all have too many types of bread at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Have some stuffing,
Marco.
some cornbread, some rolls.
I mean, we've had definitely mashed yams, but I don't know if we've ever had just maybe not. I don't know if we ever just had mashed potatoes but if they were, they were delicious.
I don't think it's a fair question to ask Marco, because his mother literally makes everything when she cooks.
So it's hard to nail down a single. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been an occasion where there was some goddamn mashed potatoes.
It was just.
Well, I know that
never on Thanksgiving for us.
That's like my friend in middle school, and he was going through his he was like a private school Black kid, and he was going through this transformation into his blacker self. And he would always say like
he emerged from his cocoon.
He would always say dumb stuff like, "Oh, Black people don't use that word. Oh, Black people don't use CD cases. Oh, Black people don't." And it was like,
Black people don't use CD cases. They just got them in the stack in the center console as they're driving. It's like, hey, yo, go to the stack and pull out that Nas album. That was.
I just hate when people do say stuff like absolutes like that, because nothing.
What are some other things that Black people don't do, Marco? Just really quick. They don't use CD cases. What else you got?
I don't know, man. I can't think of any more.
Well, one thing that everybody should do if you're white or Black is you should seek help if you're having a mental health crisis.
Yes,
I myself have taken advantage of that a couple of times. Seeking help for mental health crises, and someone who we need to get help for. And I'm like, we're going to kind of joke a little bit about this, but this is like a serious thing. Kanye
Black
West.
people don't get depressed.
Black people don't go to psychiatrists. Kanye West is broken, dude. Speaking of Dave Chappelle going and trying to save his man Kanye, like, so Buddy went out. Let's back it all the way up. So Kanye is a multimillionaire, right? Widely regarded as one of the best hip hop producers of all time. Just like, you know, if you need an example of that, go ahead and listen to Daytona by Pusha T again. And just like Come Back Baby is just, it's almost perfect. And he's a pretty okay rapper. Like, he's kind of corny, you know, like
way corny.
When he's on, he can be pretty good, but when he's off, it's like, ooh.
He'd do anything for a blonde dyke.
Yeah. What were some of the other ones? Some of my other favorites. Anyway, so the man that gave us Yeezus, right, which is talking, they had like the black skinheads. He's talking about we're the new slaves because we're, you know, slaves to brands and such like that. He became a Trump fan relatively recently, 2016. And he said that slavery was a choice. And it's sort of all been downhill from there. You know, he got this studio in Wyoming. He's just been saying a bunch of crazy shit. And then 2020 rolls around and he decides he's going to run for president, right? Like everybody's like, oh, this is a marketing stunt for his album, shut up, Kanye. And I made a whole bunch of like, I miss the old Kanye jokes. Like I miss the old Kanye, stay away from the polls, Kanye. But so he had a political rally recently where he said a whole bunch of shit. He said that everybody gets $1 million for having a baby if he's president. He's gonna outlaw abortion and vaccines. He said Harriet Tubman didn't save any slaves.
She just took them to other white people.
Yeah. Then he said that he said some like, what was the thing he said about Kim at the rally? Kim Kardashian West, his wife of 6 years.
Didn't he say what's that movie Get Out was about him?
Yeah, well, that was on Twitter. But at the rally, he had said that
the
he
mother
almost
of his
aborted.
child never,
Yeah, the mother of his child would never pose in Playboy or do any.
So it's a clone.
Yeah, he almost aborted. He said, he was screaming through tears that he almost killed his child, and that Kim saved. Yeah, Kim and Kanye's child North. That Kim fought him tooth and nail on it and saved him, and then he likened it. Well, he brought it back around to how he's alive because his dad tried to kill him, but his mom wouldn't abort him. And then what was that exchange with the girl where she was just yelling facts at him? And then he's like, oh, you could be a spy because you have your face covered. You could work for TMZ. We don't know who you are. There was a lot to unpack in that.
Well, there's that clip of the video where that lady, you hear that lady was just like, come on, y'all, we leaving.
Yeah. When
he was like, Harriet Tubman didn't rescue his slaves. She's like, nah, we're gone. We are leaving.
All right, we're leaving.
Yeah. Yay, man. I don't know. And then he goes on Twitter, right? And he says stuff like, the movie Get Out is about him. He said Kim tried to lock him up. He said, if I get locked up like Nelson Mandela, Kanye West compared himself to Nelson Mandela. I just want to reiterate that. He said, if he gets locked up like Nelson Mandela, you know why. And he said, my life is Get Out for real. And then he said that his North's mom would never pose for Playboy. So this is where we start unpacking things a little bit, right? So what Kanye took away from the movie Get Out was that white people were inhabiting the bodies of black people. And he thinks that Kim, who posed for Playboy after North was born, has been replaced by a white person in her body because his child's mother would never pose for Playboy. And then he also said that he is trying to get rich and be president so North's mother wouldn't have to sell her sex tape because she's done it previously.
We actually wrote sex rape.
Sex rape, right. Yeah, got to sell the sex rape. Well, and then he was like, I'm a focus on the music. And then he deleted all of those tweets. And then Dave Chappelle shows up, and then he says, Donda coming on Friday. And he posted like 12 tracks for like 60 minutes. And like some of the track names were like, God, I Need You in My Life. Because Kanye is a gospel singer now. She's My Chick-fil-A, closed on Sunday. So we know Ye is bipolar. Is this a marketing stunt or is my man in danger?
I don't know if we can answer that.
We're here for the hot takes. Come on, Micah. What do you think, man?
I mean, I honestly, I legitimately think he's always had kind of mental issues and whatnot. We've seen it early on. The George Bush doesn't care about black people,
which was true.
Well, yeah, but most people wouldn't just openly say that in that forum right there, in a fundraising fashion, or the whole coming on stage for Taylor Swift to speak for Beyonce.
All right, Micah, I'm gonna let you finish, but Marco's got no. I'm joking.
But my biggest thing was, I think ever since his mom died and how she died, it all kind of spiraled out of control. And like, I mean, he said it in songs. Like I know, like Put On, he talked about, when the Jesus pieces can't bring me peace. It was just kind of like he's lost, and now he's just lost and can't figure out what direction he wants to go in.
My take on Kanye is that he's fully ingratiated in the industry. I think that he's a classic case of a person who is out of touch, like extremely out of touch. And a lot of the things he deals with, like the problems that probably trigger his mental illness, are things that normal people can't relate to. So when he comes out and he's talking about a deal that fell through with this clothing line, or all these type of things that run through his mind, obviously of high importance, most people will hear that and be like, okay, well, he's sort of just an egomaniac. He's sort of just going out of control. The instability is real. I think that because he's been on this stage for as long as he has, it's almost cathartic to him to have these breakdowns in front of people so that people are talking about him. And I'm not doubting that he does have mental health issues, because that's obvious. But I think he does it as self-fulfilling. It's like a self-fulfilling kind of thing. People worry about him. He obviously gets off of people worrying about him. And I mean, obviously, someone who married Kim Kardashian, he knew what he was signing up for. So I don't want to hear him, run it back and try to say all this stuff about who she is and who she isn't, or how that's not the person he knows. When, I mean, we all saw that before he married her. And we all saw, like, I don't know if everybody saw this, but he used to be on the Kardashian show, and he would be acting all weird and timid and not like Kanye, talking different, everything weird and different. And he was, compromising himself. I won't say that. I don't know who he really feels he is, but compromising the image he built up for people. So I just think he's compromised, and he's just sort of self-fulfilling his own ego.
Right. So he's like letting himself have this breakdown for not only sympathy and attention, but also probably for a bit of publicity, right?
Right.
Because he did this with Jesus is King, right, as well. And to a lesser extent, Ye. That was when he came out and he was like, I'm bipolar.
Right.
I hope he gets the help that he needs, like I really, really do. But I think the thing for me is that if you guys have heard any of so we had My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and we had Yeezus. I don't know if you guys have heard any of the leaks, the Yandhi leaks, like the real legit Yandhi leaks, not the stuff that's on Spotify, but like the like leak tracks. That album was going to be incredible. It was going to be so good. And then he just he scrapped that and like 2 other albums before Ye came out, and one around the time that Life of Pablo came out too. And so we're missing out on, selfishly, a really talented artist at his peak. And instead what we're getting is, tabloid drivel, right?
Right. The sort of bad music.
Yeah, the musical equivalent of TMZ. All right. Some other news, just to let you guys know. We still live in a third world country as far as coronavirus testing goes. We are on day 15 of waiting for results in our house. I have a friend who's on day 16 or 17 at this point. Like, she's at the point where she's like back at work and she still doesn't know if she had it or not. Like, this is really bad for things, what's called contact tracing, so that you can estimate the the rapidness of transmission and things like that, where you try to trace the epidemiological pattern for this disease. We do have rapid tests. The results take about 15 minutes, but it's only 80 to 85% accurate as far as sensitivity goes. So you've got a 15 to 20% rate of false negatives. So wash your hands and wear a motherfucking mask. Somewhere where they're not having coronavirus, not Florida, but somewhere in Florida where they're managing to not have coronavirus is Orlando. The MLS bubble has reported 0 new cases since they went into bubble lockdown. And the NBA is also at 0 new cases. So congratulations to the National Basketball Association. There's so much going on in the bubble. You know, we could spend like a whole show talking about all the stuff that's come out of the bubble. You know, from Jimmy Butler getting a noise complaint because he's dribbling at like 3 a.m. Yeah. Or, you know, just any, you know, the difference in like the food, you know, and like some of it's wacky out there, right? But the thing that I want to talk about really, really bad is a team that's not in the bubble, and that is your Atlanta Hawks. I don't know if you caught this, but we rebranded this week. Actually, today I think they unveiled the logos, or the unis, and they're incredible.
Throwbacks.
Yeah,
they got rid of those god awful triangles.
I'm more excited they got rid of the green, because the green was so gross.
Voltage green.
I think the cool thing is that, like, Ryan, I sent you that the College Park jerseys.
Yeah, those are sick.
This is the same style, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they look good. My only complaint about it is that the home jersey says Atlanta still, and it should say Hawks, because you're playing in Atlanta and you're the home team, and we know where the fuck you're from. And that's also what the jersey said originally when we came out with it.
That's a Nike thing. I think that's just a Nike thing, because they do that all the time now.
I think it's also trying to sell the culture of Atlanta, because Atlanta itself has become a brand, like outside of sports, but Atlanta for hip hop, for
Black Hollywood.
Yeah.
It is
all that coronavirus.
I think Atlanta is more marketable than the Hawks are.
Is Hawks on any of the jerseys?
Yeah, the black
ones. Yeah.
The statement jersey, which has also got the Jumpman branding. Jumpman. Do you guys do you have anything you want to say about those jerseys, or are we just all in agreement that they're pretty dope?
I'm in agreement that it's dope, but I do want to say that they're sort of disingenuous by calling that a reboot of the Dominique one, because it's more of a reboot of the Lou Hudson one.
Yeah, I think the color scheme is borrowed. Some of the color schemes borrowed from the Dominique, but it's definitely not the same style jersey.
Not even close.
I like all of them except the white ones, though, because those just remind me of the McDonald's All-American jerseys.
Yeah, a little bit.
You look at it and you're like, I need a fry.
I'm really hungry all of a sudden.
A fry right now. I am gonna miss that.
I'm ready. Put the fry inside me.
Put the fries inside me. I am gonna miss the Stone Mountain granite gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think the triangle jerseys were cool. It's just the green looked yellow, but the wrong yellow.
Like Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
those triangles were not cool, man.
You're the only one who didn't like them.
You're the only person who doesn't like them.
I had some shorts from Walmart that had those same triangles on them.
So it sounds like you're dealing with some trauma from your childhood.
They're ugly, man. Nobody liked those jerseys, man.
I liked them, so you're wrong.
I liked them
outside of Atlanta.
Oh man,
because that matters.
I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Right.
This is what I think.
Listen, everybody outside of Atlanta thinks that the Giants have a better offensive core than the Falcons do. So the national media can kiss my whole ass. She get bleach on my t-shirt, I'ma feel like an asshole. Ryan, we had a conversation a little bit about Terrence Ross. Speaking of the association, I'm gonna let you take this one away. Go for it.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. So this hasn't really made headlines anywhere. I just happened to be on Twitter and caught it. But last week I talked about how Terrence Ross is our inside man with the inside scoop in the NBA now, because he's one of the only people down there that brought his equipment. So after spending some time on Twitter, I just happened to catch something that Terrence Ross liked, and it was a post from the OAN, If y'all remember, we talked about them.
Oh Lord.
When Gundy got in trouble. So this is all coming back around. So One American Network had a post and he liked it. So I was like, let me go to Terrence Ross's likes and see what the hell he's doing. And let me just bring him up real quick, just for reference. So
how do you see his likes?
Well, you just go to his tweets and replies, and then to his likes.
Okay.
So
there's like a likes section. That's how you can. That's how you can check and make sure all your favorite celebrities aren't nuts.
So there was this Kamala Harris. She's a California senator, I believe.
We know Kamala.
Probably Joe Biden's vice presidential pick, by the way.
Oh God, I hope not.
Here.
So there's this thing going around about how she looks totally different, and she's now a clone because they have a video clip of her in dark lighting, and then one where she's actually got top lighting or bottom lighting, so it brightens up her face. And so they called it Clone Mala Harris, and I was like, what the hell?
Clone Mala
Harris. I was like, let me dig into this, and then all it takes is scrolling down a little bit, and then it's him liking a video saying JFK was against secrecy, secret societies, and the wicked elite. And it's like hashtag Jeffrey Epstein, Pedo Island, question everything, the Great Awakening, QAnon. And it's like, oh no, Terrence, what are you getting into? And you just keep going down, and it's talking about the Freemasons and how they're the fingers of the secret society. And then there's a video of them talking about these letters that they got at George Bush Sr.'s funeral, and how all the elite were freaking out. And it's just like, oh my God, Terrence Ross, what is wrong with you? He's just fallen into the QAnon trap. So I rescind.
You opened the door for him.
My endorsement of Terrence Ross and his podcast. Don't listen. Don't like anything that he does.
You won't hear any original ideas.
Right.
It's QAnon recycled
hash. So yeah,
I just
go for it, Lionel.
No, I just speaking about people who are insane, I posted a video clip on my Instagram and my Facebook, which is funny because on my Instagram most people are like, hell yeah, and on my Facebook that's where all my crazy friends are. They're all just like, cops are great. So I posted this video because I don't know if you heard about this, but Customs and Border Protection has been deployed by the acting Homeland Security Secretary, because we haven't had a confirmation hearing because Donald Trump is a waste of a human being as a president. Customs and Border Protection has deployed fully armed and armored. So like they're in like multicam with like full battle rattle to Portland to, I'm going to do air quotes, those of you who aren't watching, going to protect the monuments and federal buildings. So it's all these jokers with like sniper rifles and assault rifles and, full fucking like camouflage uniforms with just police on their uniforms. So like no badge number, no name, nothing. Tear gassing moms and grabbing people off the street, putting them in unmarked government minivans and detaining them, taking pictures of them and biometric information, writing down their names, taking down license plates, and then probably putting those in a database because these folks are protesting police overreach.
Why is Portland such a hot spot for this? Are they like protesting more fervently than anyone else or something?
Yes. Their mayor has been really hard on the protesters. I think Portland's seen a lot of stuff. Portland and Seattle both. Their mayors have been really, really rough. But so the feds show up and start doing this stuff, and everybody in the state of Oregon is like, go away. And the federal police are like, we don't have to. So basically they're snatching these folks up with no probable cause, no warrant, no jurisdiction. They're just basically kidnapping people, right? And now I'm old enough to remember when Obama was in office, some of my Facebook friends were saying that Operation Jade Helm, which is a training exercise the Army does in Texas and New Mexico, was a false flag for Obama to invade southern states with the U.S. Army and take away everybody's guns. And everybody who resisted was going to be sent to FEMA camps and, whatever. Those same people are now arguing with me about how these federal police are actually good. So I posted this video and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, where's all the outrage? Where are you guys at? Like, these cops are legit snatching people off the street. What the fuck? And I just got some replies that were like, the first reply was like, yeah, I'm sure they were quote unquote protesting. I had one buddy who was like, well, what did she do? I was like, that doesn't matter. Rights are rights, dude. Like, you have rights all the time. It doesn't matter if you're like Dylan Roof went and got fucking Burger King after he shot up a church. This like white girl is protesting against police brutality, and her response is to bodily throw her into an unmarked van and then threaten to shoot anyone that follows you.
Yeah, that was the part. I was like, how are you not up in arms about this? I had like a 3-paragraph reply to one of your friends on there. I was like, fuck it, and just deleted it.
So I got all my fucking nut job right-wing Marine friends are coming out. And one of them was like, yeah, I'm sure they were quote unquote protesting. And then another one's like, oh, how could Trump sign this into law? Oh, he didn't. I was like, okay. So number one, I'm going to take your arguments at face value, right? So Trump didn't sign a law allowing federal police to arrest whoever the fuck they wanted. True. When was the last time that Customs and Border Protection was deployed to fucking Portland to arrest protesters? Did Obama do that?
Mm-hmm.
Did W do that?
I don't think so.
Did Clinton do that? No. Number two, again, it doesn't matter what they're doing. They're Americans. So once you start saying like rights only apply to people who are behaving a certain way, there's your slippery slope, my G. Next thing you know, we're arresting people for being gay. And then after that, we're arresting people for a whole bunch of other stuff because, what was it that quotes like first they came for the Jews and I said nothing for I'm not a Jew. Then they came for the Catholics and whatever. And when they came for me, there was no one else left to speak for me. This is where we're at right now. Meanwhile, our president was saying that he's going to resume doing coronavirus press conferences because when he was doing them, he hasn't done them for months because everybody's yelling at him about being such a fucking idiot. He said when they were doing them, the ratings were great. They had a great time slot. The ratings were better than anything that you've seen on cable news ever. That is what our president cares about. My reply to these guys who were talking to me on this video, my reply, and I'm going to say it right now on the podcast so anybody listening can also have this. You can apply this to yourself if it applies. My response is, what the fuck is wrong with you? The mental gymnastics you're going through to feel okay about federal police arresting Americans with no probable cause is gross. It's gross. Additionally, Donald Trump had a press conference today in which he wished Ghislaine Maxwell. He said that he hopes that she's doing well and he wishes her well. So all the QAnon folks who are forgetting that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends, that Donald Trump started Miss Teen Universe so that he could walk into the dressing room and look at prepubescent girls as they're changing because he owns the place. He bragged about this on national television. People who are forgetting that Ghislaine Maxwell introduced Donald Trump to Melania Trump, and people who are forgetting the rumor that Jeffrey Epstein, and this was going on before Trump was president, the rumor that Donald Trump or that Jeffrey Epstein was recruiting underage girls from Mar-a-Lago, from like their host staff and like interns or whatever. The level of anti-gravity mind bending that they're going to have to go through to make this fit into their conspiracy theory is really going to be exciting. I'm off my soapbox. We have a special guest coming up. We're going to hit a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with our special guest. Stay tuned and vote for Joe Biden. Be back in a minute.
So start us back off.
Okay, we're coming back in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back from the break. This is Fish and Grits, the podcast, and we are joined by joined by a very special guest. Her name is Aishia Deal. and she is a domestic violence counselor and healthy relationship educator.
Yeah.
She's currently in Los Angeles,
Shiny bright.
the
LA.
city of angels, also known as Tinseltown. She's been on radio stations across the country. Some of the ones for our Atlanta audience that you might like would be like V103. Yeah. I also know of Hot 103 because I like follow people from California on Twitter.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, and we're just super excited to have you, even though you're a Saints fan. That's the worst thing.
That's the best part about me.
Oh, this is going to be a really hard interview for me. I just want to congratulate you as an Angelino, a current Angelino at least.
Yes.
The National Women's Soccer League just announced this morning that they're expanding to Los Angeles with a team called Angel City.
Mm-hmm.
It is being run by Natalie Portman.
I read that.
Yeah.
And
We're
Serena
excited
Williams,
about
right?
that. It's Serena Williams, and Serena Williams' daughter, Olympia, I think is her name, Olympia Ohanian. She is 2, and she has an ownership stake in the team, making her the youngest sports team owner in history.
Look at that generational wealth.
Right? We're passing it down.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited because, I'm super into women's soccer. I had a daughter a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. V is now 3, and she will probably make an appearance here at some point tonight because she's got like a sixth sense when we're recording. And I had realized as soon as we found out that we were having a girl, I realized how prejudiced I was against women's sports. And like that's not something that I'd thought about before. Right. And I was like, oh no, like re-examining everything that I did in my life to make sure I'm giving that good example.
Yeah.
And I think it worked because we've been watching the NWSL tournament that's going on right now. And she told me, she walked in while we were watching and she's like, Daddy, I'm going to be a soccer girl just like her. And I was like, hell yeah, you are, girl. No worries.
I just saw that. I didn't even know there was a female soccer team coming. I just happened to be scrolling on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's dope."
Ryan's their biggest spokesperson by far. I mean, no, or Lionel.
I was about to say. I mean, I'll take that title, but all right.
I'm into it, man. I'm the soccer guy. Yeah. So let's get to the meat of the discussion.
Let's get to it.
Yeah. So Aisha, I see on my notes that you also like boxing and you're a mother of 2. How old are your kids?
My son will be 13 next month and my daughter is 8. She'll be 9 in December.
Ooh, how's that going?
He's very loud on a video game, which is why I had to shut his door before I got on with you guys because he plays all day and he's screaming and hollering. And then my daughter ignores me. She's in her room on her iPad talking to her friends. So yeah, they're growing
happy
up.
place.
Fantastic. My son is, I think we've got the same age gap. My son is 8, and my daughter is 3. And so my daughter likes to hang out when we're doing video calls or recording, but my son is, he's very much like, Dad, can I play on the PS4? I want to play Minecraft with Canon. Yeah. He's got so much attitude. And I'm always asking where did you get this from? And my wife is in the background, pointing at me. She's like, this is your fault. So why don't you tell us about yourself, sort of what you do, both as far as your work life, but also what gets you up in the morning? What's that thing that makes you do what you're doing? It's apart from you got bills to pay. Just sort of give us the rundown on what makes Aishia Deal Aisha.
I'm multi-layered, that's for sure. So I am a certified domestic violence counselor. I am a healthy relationship educator. I'm a podcast host, Shit Women Think About. I am a radio contributor. I do relationship segments, as you mentioned, in different markets weekly. I'm a mom. I'm a entrepreneur. What else makes me me? And I'm a Virgo. Now you put all those things together and you have a helicopter mom and an OCD overworker and a perfectionist.
I was going to say a very proud Virgo, but I think that those two are synonymous. I think just Virgos are often just very proud. And you cannot ignore your large Twitter gathering. You can't not speak to your Twitterites.
Yeah.
They're very loyal.
They are very loyal, and no matter what I do, they fully support. So I love that. I need that because I'm really by nature, I'm very reserved. I know it may not seem like it because, maybe, I'm very visceral, but I'm very reserved. So believe it or not, all the things I'm doing, especially the podcast and radio, it's because I feel like they're behind me and they push me and I don't want to disappoint them. So really, honestly, believe it or not, I'm a shy, reserved person.
So knowing you're shy and reserved, what sort of made you pivot from, so before you were like Twitter famous and going across the country?
Is that a thing?
That's
I
a
think
thing.
so. You are.
Totally, that's totally a thing.
What sort of made you pivot to that? I mean, being a quiet sort of person, as you just described yourself, what made you pivot from your life prior to that to where you are sort of now?
I would say, you know what? It's interesting. My mother is the founder and CEO of a domestic violence resource center. So just growing up, to me, my life, I was used to seeing my mom be in public service. I was used to, people calling my mother, men and women, all hours of the night for help. Like I'm used to that. I don't know anything else. So I really want to say that I got my love for helping people from my mom. And my dad, he teaches court-ordered male batterers classes. And so my mom teaches the women. My sister teaches a separate class, but she does social support, entrepreneurship, and empowerment for women. And then I do healthy relationship education. And honestly, no one asked for these roles. Like it just kind of, we all just kind of gravitated to what we felt most connected to. My sister feels very connected to women and, and entrepreneurship. And my passion has always been healthy relationships. And so that's why I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister.
Did you come up in a nuclear family, like all your family, your mother and father were together through the whole?
They're still together. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they've been together 43 years. July 3rd made 43 years. And they still get on each other's nerves, but they love every minute of it.
So my wife and I we've been married for 12 years. We got married, I was 22. And I feel like every time I get close to, every time I get frustrated, because it's, when you're with someone as much as, you get frustrated. Every time I get frustrated, I get a sign from above that maybe I need to chill out. So like a couple weeks ago, my wife found out that her coworker tested positive for the coronavirus. So she's been in quarantine we're on day 11 or something right now, in our bedroom. So like in the house, but we can't talk to her. And I'm going nuts. And that's why I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're good. We're fine. She's good.
Yeah, that's my fear though. My fear is to like come in contact with it and be stuck in my room. Although I love my room, but to be stuck in here for 14 days, that's enough to make sure my hands stay washed and sanitizer stays on me at all times.
Yeah, I miss being able to flake out on plans. That's really one of the things that I miss the most.
It's so amazing because not only do I have to come up with reasons why I can't go, but no one's doing anything. So I don't have to always make people feel bad about not showing up. I don't want to go to anything. So this has been amazing.
I really like when you said that you were a shy and reserved person, it really spoke to me. I'm an introvert by nature. But I used to wait tables for a living, which everyone would say, like, how do you do that and be an introvert? And it's a performance thing,
That's
like
exactly what it is.
You put on that extrovert face. So like, how do you deal with that exhaustion? Like do you have a self-care routine, or do you do like I do, which is when we get off this podcast, I'm going to go sit in front of my TV for probably an hour and just not speak. Like how do you manage that emotional stress and wear and tear?
I've gotten so much better at it, to be honest. Now I don't feel bad. Like I posted on Instagram today, but I haven't posted in like 5 days. There's just times where I'm just exhausted, and Twitter and social media, like those followers, like they're still pulling from you, whether they're looking for relationship advice or whether they're just hurting and want, another perspective, they're always pulling. And so I feel that all the time. And I used to feel really bad. So I never took a break because I felt if I take a break, what if someone, really needs me? Or I felt bad seeing their messages in my DM, but just saying, you know what, today, I just want to be Aisha. That's it. Even if it means do nothing. But I've had to, over the years, I've made time for myself. And, so it is a balance. And sometimes I do feel bad, but I have to stop and unplug, because when I get off the phone with you guys, it's almost 5, so at 6 o'clock, I have to teach 9 women who are doing batterers classes. So I'm doing that for my sister today, and I did it last week too. So it doesn't stop here. It stops after my last thing is done. But that's all day. I mean, I'm still on and off the phone, with business. My kids are here. School's getting ready to start. So it's a lot.
I just heard. Oh, go ahead.
What's your me, Marco, me. What's your show? What's your binge watch show after you're done on the phone and you're done? I've been on was it Briar Patch with Rosario Dawson? It's a weird show, but my wife's been on Love Is Blind on Netflix. What's your go?
Love Is Blind. But my go-to right now is 90 Day Fiance.
Nice. So that like really like
I watch all of them.
Yeah. Really low stakes, kind of trashy reality
really
TV.
Low self-esteem. Yeah, it really shows how horrible and desperate American people are.
Violet's made an appearance. Can you say hi to everybody, V? Oh, are you shy all of a sudden? Do you see Miss Aisha? Mm-hmm. Okay, go watch your movie with your brother. I love you. I'll be done in a little bit, okay?
Oh.
Go. Marco, go ahead and ask your question. I got a parent for a second.
What I was going to say is my question was going to be, so what kind of people do you, like in your line of work, you sort of touched into that. Like what kind of people do you mostly, I guess, impact and influence and come in contact with through your outreach and your programs?
What's interesting is I talk to, and it's not just on some physical attract. I don't believe that, but I actually talk and advise more men than women. And I think it says a lot. I mean, because men are not necessarily, you guys, some men, I should say, they're not very open with what they're going through, especially to someone that they don't know. But I give a lot of advice to men. And they deal with everything, mostly dealing with relationships. Some of them feel a little behind in life, but that's just societal norms that make people feel like they have to rush. But for the most part, like guys, and it's typically always a level of confusion, or, an ex hits them up after 8 months apart. And I'm like, listen, she just wants sex. So it's up to you. Do you want to go see her or not? Because she definitely wants sex. And so they, it's very endearing to see men share themselves and be vulnerable, because that's not something that a lot of women get to see. So I'm grateful that I do.
I will say from experience and being in a previous marriage that ended because of certain traits, but being with my current wife, she is, I think it's part of the reason I reached out to you and I found that connection that, I've reached out to you a few times on Instagram, is because she's very supportive of men expressing themselves as well. And she's opened up that side of me to allow me to talk about my feelings, talk about these things that are very important, and has really just allowed me to reach another level of emotional capabilities and mental capabilities. And that's one thing that I often see you do on Twitter and on Instagram, is supporting these people to do those things and to really talk about it and heal and speak about it to other people. Even just that act of talking to someone else who just will listen to you, or, offer their advice like you do sometimes on this thing. It's cathartic, and it really helps with that. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and that when I saw you do this on Instagram, I was like, wow, this is important. This is something that really needs to be put in every public school system across the nation, and can really help young men across the nation to really learn these skills, because that's what they are. They're skills. Just like everything you do in life, this is something that you have to work on. This is something that you have to do regularly. Otherwise, it'll dull and you're not very good at it. So I want you to talk about your workshop that you do with young men and young boys, particularly in public schools.
Yeah. So I do confrontation de-escalation, and I call it Choose You. And that's where I teach young men and now hopefully NBA rookies, fingers crossed, that's looking good, but about how to de-escalate situations. And I think that it's important because 1 in 3 women are victims of domestic violence, but 1 in 4 men are victims of domestic violence. And it actually starts to show itself like around 12 years old, believe it or not. If a woman or a man is going to be violent, they normally start pretty early. But the problem is that we have all these resources for women, but there's no resources or very few for men. And I have a daughter, but I also have a son. So I feel like it's my responsibility just to give back, because I know how I expect my son to be treated. Like I'm not one of those mothers that's going to let someone just run over him and take his kindness for weakness. So I feel like these are not conversations that people are having with teenagers. And so you would think that when I go into the schools that they're not paying attention, but it's like they really are locked in, and they start to talk and share things about their upbringing and what's going on in their homes. And you can tell that they don't really get to talk about it that much. So it's my job to make sure that men, young and old, have the tools to be able to identify an unhealthy relationship versus healthy, when a healthy relationship is becoming unhealthy, but also just to have the tools to navigate them. Like you have to know what a disagreement is, what an argument is, and what a fight is. And if you don't know how to de-escalate, you're going to go from, an argument, a disagreement, straight to a fight. And that's when things could get violent. That's when, a lot of the name calling is happening, pushing and shoving. And believe it or not, there's a lot of men who are, I think the numbers of men is more higher than women. But, men don't necessarily report their violence, and they also kind of shrug it off. So they think that a woman checking their phone is okay. Oh, she's just crazy. Or a woman policing their social media. Oh, she's just crazy. Like, oh, happy wife, happy life. You know what I mean? And so men feel like they don't necessarily have a voice. And you guys really don't. Because society says that, you do everything to make a woman happy and your needs don't matter.
Yeah. I'm wondering how much of that is like, I'm wondering how much of this is a pendulum swing as far as like what society, how society operates, right?
Yeah.
So like in the 50s and 60s, and then even into the 70s, you had the men dominated the house, and we, beat our wives if they got out of line. There you go, Ryan. 12 straight episodes with the southern accent. Sorry. And then, we started to see a shift in priorities, like both with women entering the workforce. And so then, like we need to treat you as full humans. But then also, a real effort to teach men not to beat their wives, instead of, men hitting their wives being shown as, you got to keep your woman in line. Instead, it was like, this guy's a jerk. Right. And so I'm wondering if we're still trying to find that center of like, like we're trying to correct with the men, but now we also have to remind them that they're, that they could also be bullied and abused. And, like it's not so much about like one party has to be happy. It's about treating each other with mutual respect. Do you think that our current media climate and national discourse about this is conducive to finding that middle ground where everyone respects each other? Or do you think that we still have work to do?
I mean, we have a lot of work to do, because in this day and age, toxic relationships are the new relationships. I don't know very many people that can identify that their relationship is toxic, yet the behavior is completely toxic. I think social media, it drives it, and so does reality TV, because all you see now is, men treating women terribly, women, disrespecting men. It's a mess. So I don't see, to be honest, I don't see how it's going to get better. I hope that it does, but I don't necessarily know how, because at least I would say these generations up until about maybe 30, they may have a chance, but it's looking real bad for the people that are 30 and under. And even my son, he's going to be 15 in 2 years. I don't know what that's going to look like, because, unhappy is the new happy. Fake happy is the new happy.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
I got sort of, Ryan, you looking like you have a question face.
Oh, no, I was just, she triggered something in my brain. And I was like, yeah, that's right. You see a lot of these, like, these rappers and a lot of these, Instagram people that are very influential are deeply depressed and deeply.
Look at Tory Lanez allegedly shooting Megan. Like what kind of?
That made no sense. I'm still trying to figure out what is that. That makes no sense to me.
I mean,
And
that
she's not
happened to your
pressing
stomping
charges.
grounds, Aisha. You tell us.
We've got to add Aisha to our group chat because I feel like she would have good input.
I mean, I'm like, the only thing I could think of is like maybe she's going with the whole don't snitch thing, but that's ridiculous. Like he shot you twice.
Right.
Or at least you got hit twice. I don't know how that works, but she said
Right.
Bullets with an S. So that means more than one. I just thought it was weird that they would even date. I mean, Tori's like a gnome. Like he's like
He's a
4'11".
Yeah, he's not the tallest guy in
He's
the
like
world.
5'10".
Hey, I'm height. Don't height shame me. I'm only 5'10".
Wait, I don't even think he's that tall.
Yeah, I think he's shorter than that.
He's
Marco,
very
listen.
tall.
It's
Just because I'm the shortest person on this channel, don't mean
we appreciate your average male height, but the rest of us who are over 6 feet do look down on you. We have our own group chat. So
Yeah.
Aisha, I'm really glad that you brought up the social media aspect because
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions about that if you don't mind, I would love
Yeah.
to ask you as someone who's Twitter famous.
Oh my God.
I've noticed that so I am weird about my social media usage. I try really hard to not post too much, except when I'm trying to like Ryan's making a face because recently I've been trying to make my conservative friends angry. I've been full on
You're having social media warfare. You're conducting social media warfare with conservatives and their likes.
Right, but I don't post a lot about my life, right? Like
right.
I try to keep a lot of that very private. But I know that is very counter to what a lot of people are using social media for. And I've also noticed that large social media fan bases can at times get very toxic.
Yeah.
Either intentionally or unintentionally, like the Nicki Minaj, the Barb's army.
Right.
The Beehive, yeah. So how do you manage how do you encourage your Twitter following to be respectful and how would you advise the rest of us as far as like making sure we don't incite a riot amongst when we get Twitter famous for this podcast after you come on? What's your advice to us, and how do you help encourage a positive environment with your followers?
That's a good question. I think my followers they're a lot like me, I feel. But I don't know that I ever had to like set rules, but there has been times in the past where I've had to like, especially when I'm talking about male related issues, because women, I can be like, guys, here's a question. And then, women jump in. It's like, okay, no, first of all, I said men, give them their moment. But I've also created an environment where we're like family, I feel. And so when they come on to one of my conversations or they come on my page, it is pretty much respectful. And if you're not, then there's a whole lot of people that are going to have a lot to say about it. So I do try and keep it cute, and they keep it cute. And I think that they just kind of follow my lead. I mean, I'm not on there to be loud and ratchet, I mean, I could get loud and ratchet if I need to, but I'm not even on there for that. And I think that they kind of vibe the way I vibe. So, yeah. But I think you don't have to share a lot about yourself, because I don't share a lot about my current life. I talk about relationships in general. Like I talk about experiences, other people's experiences, experiences of people around me. But I don't necessarily talk about my day-to-day life, but I never have. Because I think some things you just keep to yourself, you know what I mean? So, I mean, my current life, what's happening today, no. But if it happens today, I'll talk about it tomorrow. But you'll never really know where it's coming from. I make it universal.
Right. After you've had a chance to process it, so you're not like live tweeting.
Right.
Your
Oh, no, I would
experience.
never give anyone the satisfaction of me subtweeting. Ever.
Okay. Of the subtweet.
Yeah.
The
so
subtweet.
I'm mad about something, you're not going to see that reflect. So because people will say like, are you okay when I share certain things? And I'm like, I'm just sharing an experience. I never told you when this experience was. Sometimes it's 5 years ago, but it's still an experience.
Right. And it's still valid.
Right.
So the question that I was going to ask before I mentioned Tory Lanez was I wanted to ask you your sort of perspective. Like, so we discuss sports a lot here. When you introduce the financial aspect into a relationship, and these, you know, inordinately large amounts of money, a lot of these celebrities, we can throw them in the mix as well, entertainers, whatever. How do you feel that sort of affects the dynamic of the relationship, and how can that contribute to the abuse factor, whether on both sides?
Well, it's interesting when men say on social media, you know, women just want money and, you know, this, and that, they want a lifestyle. But I feel like men go out of their way to try and prove, even if they're lying, that they have a lifestyle. So, you know, I feel like men lay traps, and then when women take the bait, then they're, you know, y'all hoes, you know, just want money. Y'all, you know what I mean? It's like, but wait a second, but you put the energy out there. And
Right.
so these women are, you know, are coming because of what the trap you set. So then you can't be mad at them for doing what women do. There's always going to be women who are just after the money. And I think that men are having a hard time trying to decide who's real and who's not. And what's interesting is that I was telling my best friend this morning that I was talking to a particular Hollywood director, creator. And I sent the text just like out the blue. I was like, you know, are you okay? And he's like, what made you ask me if I'm okay? I'm like, is that some type of a crazy question to ask? Like, is it wrong to, but it reminded me again, because there's times where I'll just reach out to guys, you know, how's your day? Are you okay? And they'll be like, nobody ever asked me if I'm okay.
Why do you care if I'm okay?
Yeah,
I mean,
what's your angle?
I thought it was weird that it was a weird question to like. To me, it's like someone asking, that's like, you know, how's your day? But the fact that they don't get that often, the fact that people call them and they just want and they take and they want and they take and they don't deposit anything back, I understand why that's frustrating. But I also understand as a woman why some women don't want to deal with it, because I'm not trying to love you past all the scars you had before me. Sort that shit out. Excuse me, do y'all cuss in here? My back.
We got the explicit label. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, so you know, just like sort it out. But it's there's some men saying that they want it, and then there's men that say that they want it, but then they don't know how to receive it. So men have, you know, there's a little struggle there too. That's, to me, that's low self-esteem. If I say that to a woman, she's going to be looked at as she doesn't think she's worthy of having a good man. Well, it's the same thing with a lot of these men. They don't think that they're capable of having a woman who just wants to get to know them. And then when you take a woman that has something already, she has her own money, she has her own success. The good news is that you kind of strip that away from them and you force them to, you know, show their cards. Now your money and what you're driving, what you do, that doesn't matter, because now you're dealing with a woman who has accomplishments and money too. So now what do you have? And few of them don't have anything. It's
like Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? Like that makes sense, because if anybody's going to be able to match up with Hove, it's the queen bee.
Well, it's interesting that men still don't. You would think that they'll just say, okay, let me date women, you know, date women that have something, but they don't.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder how much of that is like, you know, so like Drake will say, you know, I love bringing Drake up when I want to talk about the dichotomy of musicians. So like in the same song, Drake will be like, oh, I wish I could have a good girl. I wish Rihanna would text me back, you know? But then a little bit later, he's like, I'm paying for her to go through college and I go to the strip club and I like that women like, because I have money, right? So like, I feel like some of these guys like really get off on the idea of being like, you know, I'm famous and rich and you like me because I got money, and that's why you like that.
And a lot of them were like lames or not attractive, and you know, some of them,
they never build the self-confidence at all.
And the majority of them still aren't attractive. I mean, it pisses me off that these girls, like these little petite shaped men, drive them crazy. Like they're petite, you know, they're just, I don't know.
And back to Tory Lanez we go.
Yeah,
listen, I mean, in another universe, I would be ragging on Drake all the time. I'd be like, okay, Aubrey, you were in Degrassi. You know what I mean? Like, it's, anyway. Sorry, I got feelings on things.
I think we're at the epicenter of that here in Atlanta, though. I mean,
oh my God, Atlanta's every stereotype ever for Black people. Just saying.
They're all over
stereotype. It's there. It's there. It's like overkill there.
Yes, heavy.
Yeah,
double down on stereotypes here now.
It's a character type.
You know, Atlanta's kind of become, you know, the new reality TV, or Hollywood, you know, because LA and all the taxes. So a lot of production studios go to Atlanta, and it's changed the culture now. because everyone in Atlanta damn near wants to be on Housewives or Love and Hip Hop or some type of reality show. Whereas 10 years ago, women in Atlanta were all about getting their degrees, starting practices, opening businesses. And now it's like everyone's main goal is to be, taken care of by a man and be a little rapper's concubine.
I saw a meme the other day it said, in Atlanta, we don't care about celebrity because we're all stars here. And that's how it kind of that's how people around here act.
That is how they act. And it's so extra when I go there. It's so extra that I make it a point to dress all the way down because everything is so extra. Just give me some sneakers and a baseball cap. I can't.
Right. That reminds me of I used to you ever been to OK Cafe here in Atlanta? Yeah. Okay. So it's I wouldn't recommend it. They got some all lives matter issues going on. But it's pretty famous. It's in Buckhead. It's a Atlanta staple. And when I used to work in the takeout, Sierra would come in probably every week, once every 2 weeks or something like that. And when she would come in, and so Sierra went to middle school with some of our friends, she's our age. She would come in like a gray sweatsuit or a black sweatsuit with a beanie and sunglasses on the phone so that nobody would talk to her, every single time. And she would come in and we got to the point where I'm like, hey, Miss Harris, how are you? And she's like, hey, Lionel, and give me like the black Amex and stuff like that. And then the one day she came in dressed up, it was just like the vibe was different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just when she would come in like her sweatsuit and stuff, like in her camouflage, no one would know who she was.
Right.
Or that she was anybody except those of us who knew, like, oh, that's Sierra. Right.
Yeah.
But when she came in all dressed up, I realized just how hard it must be to be an attractive, famous woman or moderately attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden people are just like,
I know. So creepy.
Which sort of takes me to another question that I've been wanting to ask you since Ryan first suggested that we might want to ask you to be on the podcast. It's like toxic out here for young women in all sorts of settings, but especially for ones who are very public facing like yourself. Do you think that, and especially because, with social media and with stuff like Instagram, and we're feeling more comfortable and less puritanical about the things that we're posting as far as like our bodies and like what we show and what's appropriate and what's not. Do you think that being extremely online and being a young woman has helped you connect with some of these men, or do you find it to be detrimental? Like, would it be easier for you to do the online part of your job if no one knew what you looked like? Or do you find that you're making connections better being so visible?
I have a team of people that beat me upside the head about being more present. Like I still don't put videos on Instagram. I still struggle with that. Like, believe it or not, if I post a picture, I struggle. Everything that I do, I'm doing it with intention, but it's still hard because I don't enjoy, I never wanted to be in front of people. I come from the music industry, the rap industry. I've always worked with rappers and entertainers, but I never wanted to be the person in front of the camera, and so I'm still trying to adjust to that because this Aisha that is inside of me, she wants to just be, behind a microphone, on the radio, on a podcast, never have any visuals, and that could be okay. But I know that is not okay, and I know people think that I need to move faster and do more, but I'm moving at the pace that I'm comfortable with, because everybody can't just turn on the computer or the phone and just start talking. Some people really are introverts, and I'm one of them. So, when I see Summer Walker, for example, and people would say, well, how are you an introvert and you're half naked? Or how are you an introvert, but you do this and that? And it's like, you don't even understand how it works. Like the same way I'm an introvert, but my pictures could be sexual. It's because we're still controlling our environment. Like we're still, we control what you see and what you don't see. And it's in our control. We don't like things that are out of our control. So we stay confined in spaces that make us feel comfortable. But I could post a picture in 1, 2, 3, but turning my podcast into a visual podcast, I've been trying to pull that trigger since 2019.
Well, and introverts want to feel sexy too. It's like I got a friend who's a chef, and if she's listening, she's gonna laugh at me about this. But she's vegetarian, and she posted a recipe on Instagram. She does like video recipes or whatever.
Yeah.
She posted this video about, I think it was like vegetarian fishing, shrimp and grits or something like that. And she was like, people always ask me, they're like, "Bitch, how are you a vegetarian and you're still fat?" And I'm like, just because I don't eat meat doesn't mean I don't eat.
It's the carbs. The moment you go to vegan or vegetarian, it's the carbs and the pasta.
It's the carbs that get you, yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's an interesting analogy where, like people are like, "How are you an introvert, but you're posting pictures?" It's like,
yeah.
Like, what do you mean, guy? Like I just hit that post button and then I turn my phone off and I don't have to listen to you.
Right.
So I know Ryan wanted to talk a little bit of just while we're wrapping up.
Yeah,
you wanted to talk a little bit about her sports enthusiasm for things. Ryan's.
What do you have to say?
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I could come at you hard, but I'm gonna let you off.
He's gonna keep the ratchet in his back pocket. He's gonna pull it.
I can't get the ratchet. Go ahead.
No. So I know you're a Saints fan, and I know you saw what your quarterback did not too long ago, and what he was in all the headlines for. So first question is, what do you think of your Saints this year?
I've learned not to think about the Saints. I mean, you have to, because as a Saints fan, we have so many disappointments and upsets. Honestly, you have to go into the season expecting the bare minimum, okay? And then that way you won't get your hopes up and be disappointed, because we've made it all the way to the finish line and just completely fumbled the whole game. So
we don't know what that's like at all.
I don't even get attached like when the season starts. I just don't want to lose too bad. But I feel like the last 3 years we've had great seasons, but they can't seem to finish. We're either being robbed. Last second. Yeah, we're either being robbed of something, or we just drop the ball on our end. So I don't look forward to anything. It's one Sunday at a time, no lie. But I feel nauseous on game day. I feel overwhelmed, and I can't do anything until the game comes on and then goes off. I don't want to talk.
Sound like an Atlanta fan.
Yeah.
Y'all are definitely the easiest fan base to come back at when they come at us for 28-3. I
mean,
y'all have given us more than enough ammo to fire right back at you.
Falcons are awful.
Yeah,
ish.
We have been
awful-ish. Is that better? Awful.
There you go. I'll take that. I'll accept awful.
We had such a good conversation, Ryan, and now look what you did.
I mean, you can't let a Saints fan off here.
How am I going to get Twitter famous?
This is where you ask her about Drew Brees.
Atlanta fans. You guys are all Falcons fans.
We're all from Atlanta.
Yeah. That Mercedes-Benz home is a lot. It's a lot.
It's
a lot to move around. It's a lot. I didn't even want to go to the restroom. I'm like, what is going? The whole thing outside of the in the concession area looks like a club.
Wait till LA gets theirs. That one's about to be ridiculous.
Yeah,
I know.
Or Vegas.
Or Vegas, yeah, that one.
Vegas, baby.
I see the Raiders.
All right, Aisha.
Wait. Drew Brees, as a black woman.
Okay.
You gotta elaborate how you feel about Drew Brees, just real quick. Just give us your take on your guy.
I thought it was tacky, but it may sound terrible, but I believe every single bit of that. That's how he feels. He just probably didn't mean for it to get out. I'm not gonna make an excuse for him, because I was just like, really? Like that's disappointing, but at least we know where you stand. Like, you can apologize till you're blue in the face. Like, you said what you said and you can't unsay it. So, I miss Teddy already.
I have one last question I just wanted to ask real quick, though. In your field, what do you feel so far as your biggest breakthrough or accomplishment that you've had just working in this field?
I think all of it, considering that I put all this together in my head about December 2018. And last year I spent all this time just like building up my brand and being intentional about everything that I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to do radio. I wanted to do work. Everything I'm doing now, I wanted to do, but I was intentional with it. And, I've created a plan, and I knew that even though I enjoy tweeting or I enjoy posting, like, it has to be for something. And so I just used it to kind of just like share my life, share my stories, share my little 2 cents. If people like it, good. If they don't, good. But I think everything that's happening right now is everything that I wanted my life to be, which is, I wake up every day and I help people. I bring peace of mind and comfort to people. And I don't have to pick sides. I don't have to be a feminist. I don't have to be, I'm for what's good for men and women, for humanity. I'm not just someone who's only for women. I advocate just as hard for men. So I think just doing what I'm doing is everything that I've ever wanted to do.
Amen.
That's really cool.
I really respect the hustle, Aisha. I really respect the stuff that you do. And I'm really, really glad that you came on the show. Real quick, just let the people know, besides following you on Twitter at Aishia Deal and on Instagram, I believe that's your same handle.
Same thing at Aisha Deal, AISHIA. Let the last I be great. People leave it out. AISHIA Deal at Instagram, on Twitter.
Awesome. Where can the people find you? Where can we see what you do? Just on your social, or do you have anything else big coming out?
I mean, I have at AishiaDeal.com. That's my website. I'm in a new market. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky now. So that's as of this week on Thursday. So that's coming up. I think we're going to talk about Kim and Kanye and have that whole discussion. And I'm just looking forward to teaming up with the NBA Players Association and bringing some knowledge to the athletes and, take care of my kids, lay low, and wash my hands.
No, I'm mad we didn't ask about that.
We should have had you on at the beginning of the show to talk about Kanye, because we had a whole
Kim and Kanye. Yeah, our whole first 40 minutes was Kanye.
Does Kim care about Kanye? Does she care?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Kim wanted her kids. I think there's things she loves about Kanye, but I don't think that she's ever wanted to be a wife. Like, you could be a partner, not be a wife. Kim is very centered around what she's doing, but she always has been. So I feel like for Kanye, you know what it was when you signed up. You thought she would change maybe, but she is who she is. And I think now he's realizing that he's not a Kardashian after all.
Do you think Kim misses the old Kanye?
No, I don't think he's been the old Kanye since she met him. Yeah, because she met him after, when they reconnected after his mom passed away.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think whoever was with him pre his mother got the most grounded Kanye. I think now he's just, since she passed, it's like he's just been floating, trying to find anything to hold on to. Right now it's spirituality and Christianity. And he's just, whatever he does, he goes so hard. And so now he's a new Christian. You know how they could be. Just, yeah.
Yeah, growing up in Georgia, especially right now up in Gwinnett, we get a lot of those folks. Okay, I think we've had you for long enough.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and we really appreciate it.
Bye.
It was a real pleasure.
Thank you, Ryan. Bye.
Her name's Aisha Deal. She's a domestic violence counselor. You can catch her on Twitter and Instagram at AISHIA Deal. Also, AishiaDeal.com. We're going to hit a break, and we'll be right back. Coming back at 3, 2, 1. Welcome back from the break. This is Fish and Grits, the podcast. Super great to have Aisha Deal on the show, guys. Don't you think?
She was an amazing guest.
So let's get back into sports. Carl, you should turn it off now. Atlanta United's playing right now. They're losing to the Columbus Crew, which is featuring Darlington Nagbe, Nagbay, and coached by Caleb Porter. The Crew look pretty good. I wish that they didn't, because that means that Giassi Zardes is probably going to keep starting for the U.S. men's national team, and that is a terrible thing. We were talking about through the break. Atlanta is bad. United are bad right now. We lost to New York, which, we talked about that, I think, on the last show. We talked about how we've only ever beaten them the one time, but it was the only time that mattered. Fuck you, New York. New Jersey, excuse me. But then in the intervening days, I think since the last time we recorded, they played FC Cincinnati, who are god-awful, trash. Their third manager in 18 months of existence I think they won like 2 games last year. They are hot garbage. They should never have been promoted from USL. This is why we need an actual promotion and relegation system in the United States. Just because their owner could pay the franchise fee doesn't mean that they should be in the league. And we still lost to them.
That L.
There was one point during the FC Cincinnati game that none of Atlanta United's designated players were on the field. No PT, no Barco, no Joseph, who we know is out with an ACL. And we were talking through the break about what the reasoning is behind Atlanta being so bad. So let's pick it up there. Micah, you were comparing losing Atlanta to what?
Well,
losing Joseph.
I think losing Joseph is comparable to maybe like the Braves losing like Ronnie Acuna or like the Hawks when Trey Young went down. It's almost like there's a confidence, like they're the leader, and there's a confidence that's missing and a swagger that's missing from your team when you're missing that key guy. And even though the talent, there still might be talent there, they just don't perform near the level of that they're capable of because that leader is just gone.
I disagree. I think that this team is poorly constructed. I don't think that – so in soccer, you regularly rotate out your strikers and your offensive players, especially on that front line on those forwards, because they do so much work. For instance, today Arsenal started against Aston Villa. They started Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on the left. They started Alexander Lacazette in the middle at that number 9 position. And then they started this kid Eddie Nketiah on the right. Last week, they had a different lineup. The week before that, they had a different lineup. You'll have one of those offensive players, maybe 2, be consistent. But when you're playing this many matches with, only like 2 or 3 days in Arsenal's case, or in Atlanta United's, you're looking at almost a week for MLS Is Back. When you're playing this many games back to back, you, out of necessity, rotate your squad. The only players who really remain constant are your goalkeeper, because they don't run as much,
right,
and maybe a couple of your defenders, right? So like your center backs and maybe a defensive midfielder. I don't believe. So I have a couple of takeaways. I want to see if you guys agree with me or not. So we've talked about how we're really missing Darlington Nagbe, right? We're missing that connective midfielder presence. I'm going to say that last year we got by because Julian Gressel could connect with Joseph, right? Like when we played Julian Gressel out in that wing back spot in that 3-5-2, he did a really good job. He was terrible as a central midfielder. Gressel needs to play out on the wing. Gressel is really bad in DC right now as that like number 8 box-to-box midfielder. But no one else was connecting. So all of our attack came from that right-hand side and came from Julian to Joseph, and that's it. I think that Atlanta United's problems lie in 2 major places, and it's not Joseph being out, because I think Tata would have beaten FC Cincinnati with fucking Tito starting as the number 9, or with Zeke starting as the number 9. This front office did a really shitty job rebuilding this roster in the last couple of years. We've gotten rid of plenty of really, and out of necessity, right? Like MLS roster rules and MLS salary rules are so restrictive and ridiculous that like we couldn't have paid Leandro Gonzalez Perez what he wanted, right? We couldn't have paid what's his name? Guy who plays for Iraq, came out of Orlando. He was number 14 last year. Justin Miram. We couldn't have paid all those guys. Nagbe wanted to go to Columbus. He stayed for an extra year, but he wanted to play for Caleb Porter. We couldn't have kept all of those guys. That's true. But with the exception of Fernando Meza, we downgraded in every position that we turned over. So we sold Miggy and we bought Pete, who's not the same player, right? Pete also looked like shit against Cincinnati. Did you see that we tried to whip a cross in and he stuck his foot in the ground and fell over? He spent more time rolling around on the ground than any soccer player I've ever seen. He's garbage. And this is especially compared with when I was watching like the women's games. Go potty, go. When I was watching the women's games, and like these girls were like hockey checking each other in the ribs and like fracturing each other's ribs and still getting up and playing. And PT gets like breathed on. He's like, oh, ay, Dios mío. Get up, Gonzalo. So I think the roster is shit, right? We have no connective box-to-box midfielder. We have no creativity out on the wings with the exception of Bello, who didn't play last week against FC Cincinnati. We have no idea what we're doing up front, and we have no strikers.
So is it because like I feel there's like a conservative aspect to Frank de Boer's coaching where it's like he doesn't necessarily have a lot. I feel like we have talent, you know, and I feel like maybe not the best talent in all the right places, but I feel at the same time he doesn't like mold his concepts around the talent he has, like to make sure like someone like PT or Barco is utilized correctly so that they do flourish. I feel like he just has his system and he's like, okay, y'all are going to learn this and we're going to roll with this. That's why I sort of feel like he's the main detriment here. Like regardless of, we shouldn't have lost to Cincinnati. Like I said, if Joseph were here, I think we would have tied at least Cincinnati because he's that, you know, that escape valve for us. We probably still wouldn't have won because I just
Joseph would have dragged a goal out, right?
Yeah, he would have dragged a goal out.
And then it would have been like,
I think
it's stoppage time.
It's always been De Boer because this club was made to attack. This club was built from the very beginning to get out and just outrun people and just all gas, no brakes, fucking win a game 4-2, 5-4 if we had to.
Well, we did 6-0 against the Revs.
Yeah,
that first season. Suck it, Boston.
I think that that midfielder problem. I think they knew that. I think that's why we signed Rossetto. But the only problem is we can't play him right now. He's unavailable for this tournament, right?
No, Haas is playing.
No, who's that young kid that we signed?
Jurgen Damm can't play, and Eric Lopez is playing for the twos, which I've got a little bit on that. But I definitely think you guys are right about De Boer. I think Marco, you're right that it was interesting because both of the coaches, FC Cincinnati's and ours, are Dutch, and they play that Dutch 3-4-3 possession-oriented soccer, right? The problem is that we were okay last year in De Boer's system, especially once he started making adaptations, because our roster was so over-talented. Right. Justin Miram, Darlington Nagbe, Tito Villalba, you know, like we had Zeke, PT, Tito, LGP, who was and LGP and Miles Robinson saving our ass every like 10 minutes. You had Michael Parkhurst, who you could bring in as a sub. You had Laurentowicz. Like that team was stacked. I remember watching games. I remember being like, "Oh, we're winning despite the system." Like there was we have no ability to play against teams who sit in that low block. And we also have no creativity, right? So like Newcastle United moved Miggy to that number 10 attacking midfielder position, and our boy is flourishing. We have no creativity. Zeke is timid. PT can't hold on to the ball. Adam John is really just like he's, you know, those Brian, you know those green target cutouts that you shoot at? You know, Adam John is one of those in an Atlanta United jersey.
The foosball guy. He's like,
yeah. Castro is bad. You know, like we have no – Brooks Lennon is our right back. You're going to sign a guy who, like, is just an MLS guy? You know, like, at least we don't look as bad as Miami, right? Like, at least we have a chip. You know, like, we're in a rebuild. But I think that the front office really fucking whiffed on this brand of rebuild. And I think part of the reason why is because of De Boer. I think he was helping dictate the players. Whereas the first Atlanta United team had like a couple of MLS vets and like Parkhurst and Laurentowicz, right? But the rest of the team was like, hey, we went down to South America and came back with these guys. You know, like remember Carlos Carmona?
Yeah.
You know, or like Emil Assad. Could you imagine Assad coming in and playing on that right back position right now?
They were making
at least he's fucking fast.
It's like they were making power moves on a world stage. Now it seems like they've sort of
we're playing MLS.
Well, everyone else caught up to us too. We're not the only ones going down there anymore.
And if you want to look at an example of a team that is well put together and well coached, Micah, LAFC lost Carlos Vela, and they put up 6 on the Galaxy the other day in El Tráfico, which is still the best rivalry name I've ever heard for an LA versus LA team. That's fantastic. Because Bradley Wright Phillips, who played striker for New Jersey until this year, scored like 3 because they have that's LAFC is modeled on the Atlanta model. The difference is that, number one, they're younger, so they haven't had to do this roster turnover. But it does feel like Atlanta is playing the MLS game. Like, let's sign a bunch of white guys who will play for the men's national team, instead of like, I'm just going to go sign every fast Brazilian and Argentinian and Paraguay. That's where we get the good ones. We're going to go down and sign the whole Paraguayan, under 21 national team. And we're going to win 6 back-to-back-to-back. So we did sign Jurgen Damm from Club America. He's a winger. You guys need to check out this dude's TikTok. He is fucking hilarious. So he posted this thing where he was doing like the blanket thing, and then he came down with an Atlanta United jersey on. But the thing that was making me laugh the most is he did a video where he was like packing to leave to go to Atlanta. And one of the criticisms that they have for him is he's a winger. He's like the second fastest soccer player on the planet, but he can't hit a cross. Like he can't hit a cross pass at all. Like they say that he sucks at that. So he's like packing all of this stuff into a wagon to move to Atlanta, and he's got these white boxes that are labeled goals. One says TikTok, and one says video games, and one says crosses. And he puts them all up in the wagon. He starts to drag the wagon away, and the crosses box falls off, and then the video stops. And then he just posted another one the other day where he's like moving into his apartment, right? And he's like pulling stuff out, and he's like pulls it out, and he starts looking for the crosses box, and he like does this, and then he's out there like stapling like a missing poster that has his crosses box on it. He's like, I need to find this. Like the dude is hilarious. Fucking hilarious.
He's only like 19, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's really young.
These kids, man, we're about to have some funny ass kids in this generation.
These are the signings that they should have done. And these are summer transfer window signings, which makes sense, right? Because the rest of the world operates on a different schedule than we do. But these are signings that they should have been doing before this whole fucking tournament started. The other one is Eric Lopez, who is a really exciting, like 19-year-old striker out of Paraguay, who has been rumored to come here for a while. Eric Lopez is playing for the twos, which is surprising. But I figured out why, and thanks to Dirty South Soccer and everybody else, I figured out why Eric Lopez is playing for the twos. We can only have 3 designated players, right? And those are the only 3 players that we can pay a ton of money to. And right now that's Zeke, Joseph, who deserves it and probably deserves all of Zeke's money too, and PT, right? Scratch that. Joseph should also be getting PT's paycheck. Next year, MLS will introduce a rule where you have an additional under 22 slot where there's no salary cap restrictions. So Eric Lopez signs with the twos, plays with the twos, gets integrated into the coaching staff, into our training staff, into our facilities, gets integrated into Atlanta, gets some playing time, stuff like that, stays fresh. And hopefully gets that, the rust that we get from like Barco his first season here, and like everyone's like, oh no, they just hit me all the time. It's like, yeah, welcome to CONCACAF, bitch. And then next year, Lopez comes onto the first team and doesn't take a DP spot. So we'll have like four DP level players.
Okay.
Which is cool, but like everybody knew Lopez was going to be really good. What I want to see is I want to see your big name DP be another Miggy and not PT. But the other one I want to see is those kids who we only have for a year or two who are good enough to be designated players, like LGP, like Yamil Assad, like Tito Villalba, but that we get on the cheap because we're giving them a chance. That's how you can tell that this front office is paying attention. Because that's the only way that we're going to be able to outclass the rest of MLS. Is, since we can't outbuy them,
Right.
we can't pull like
really
a Manchester
dig
City
down on talent evaluation and scouting.
Yeah. So that's my MLS is back. We're still losing. I hate this city sometimes. What else do we have to talk about? We got some NFL. Yeah. So
NFL,
the NFL,
MLB, and that's it.
The NFL's got the NFL had a head start on the other leagues as far as planning for COVID, right? Because they're the last league to start. Like NBA had to shut down. MLS had to shut down. Like those leagues were already playing and they had to stop. The NFL got the Super Bowl in. They were in the middle of their offseason. They were good. And then Major League Baseball is supposed to start like the next week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks later, right? We went into lockdown 2 weeks before opening day. And yet the NFL doesn't have a plan. Still. I think they just said that they're not going to play any. I saw Mike Pereira tweeted out about this. They're not going to play any preseason games.
Mm-hmm. Well, they offered it to him. They haven't agreed upon it yet.
So guys like J.J. Watt, who coincidentally is married to my new soccer girlfriend, Kalia Watt, who plays for the Chicago Red Stars. She used to play for the Houston Dash. That's how they met. JJ was one of the big players that's just like, what the fuck? Right? We've got this hashtag trending that's like, we want to play. What the fuck is wrong with the NFL? Why don't they have a plan? And like, are they going to have one? Ryan, tell me what's going on with this, man.
It goes right in line with the rest of what's going on in America. It's arrogance. I feel like the NFL always felt like this would be cleared up by the time that it was their turn to come to play. And so they're like, well, we don't really need a plan. Come September, we'll be good. Forgetting that there's OTAs, there's summer workouts, there's all these things in between where there's going to be lots of contact. Man, there's no real leadership on either side. Like with the NBA, you have Silver, and you know what the NBA wants. And Silver's very open. He'll talk about it. He'll come out. He'll talk to the media. He'll get on Twitter. He'll get on everything, and he'll say, "This is what we want. This is what the players want, and here's how we're going to work on meeting them in the middle." Since the draft, I haven't heard anything from Goodell. He's gone radio silent. I mean, except with the whole Kaepernick thing. That was the only thing that he came out and spoke on, but that was almost because his hand was forced. He had fucked up years ago on this, and then the rest of the world was like, hey, remember this? And they really forced him into that corner on that. So, but as far as COVID goes, you haven't heard anything. You haven't heard anything from him. You haven't heard anything from, what's the NFLPA president's name? The old cornerback. Played for the Eagles.
Big loser face.
Nnamdi Asomugha.
No, he was anyway. You haven't heard anything from him. You've heard the most from is from players, big name players like J.J. Watt, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes. All these players have been out here saying, "Hey, look, we want to play. Here's what we need to play. Just guarantee our safety. Tell us something, and we'll get out there and play." But
you made Russell Wilson mad. How you make Russell Wilson mad?
How do you make the nicest guy in the league mad?
The corniest, but like genuinely nicest guy. Do you remember when he would finish his press conferences? He'd be like, "Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Yeah, go Hawks." I would just leave. It's just like
he took that title once Andrew Luck retired.
Right.
If I had known that what Sierra wanted was corniness, when I was working at OK Cafe. Hello, Miss Harris. I was wondering if I could call on you.
It's more the check than the corny, though.
Oh man.
Oh god. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, how do you not have any type of SOP for positive tests even released yet?
I think it's the NFL Kyle Shanahaning this.
I think it makes so much sense when you look at the NFL and how it's structured, because like you said, there is no leadership on this because the leadership is divided between every single owner. Like every single owner's ego is so big that they're not even sort of willing to, like you said, I'm sure 90% of them were like, well, this shit will be gone. We don't got to think of a plan. You know, so it was, I'm sure somebody was trying to get them together, be like, yo, let's think of something. And all of them were like, oh, well, I just need more glory hole.
Like, I knew it was coming.
Last week, staying with the NFL and their fucking terrible ownership, I still don't think that we play a full season in the NFL. I think that when it comes back, it's going to be fucking trash. I think some weird team is going to be really good for the first couple of weeks.
The Giants.
Right. Like some team that like, because, you know, all the good teams are going to be super rusty, but there's going to be one team that somehow like clicks better than everybody else. And they're going to ride that into the playoffs and then get embarrassed in the first round, like lose by like 40. That's if we get that far into the season. That's my bet right now. Is it's going to be someone like the Jags.
Gardner Minshew's like, I was born for this.
Well, and like Florida doesn't have any lockdown, so Gardner Minshew and his whole receiving corps have been practicing this whole time, basically. Yeah.
Trubisky's gonna be balling out of his mind, and they're gonna cancel the season 6 games in.
Trubisky's finally gonna put it together. They're gonna cancel the season. But speaking of things that need to get canceled, Dan Snyder. So we talked a little bit in the group chat last week, but there was some stuff coming up. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff where they're like, oh man, there's a horrible article on the Washington Redskins coming out on Friday or Thursday, maybe Thursday, but probably Friday. Like I saw this on Twitter too. A bunch of people being like, man, this is really bad. Like, motherfucker, just tell us what it is.
Right.
And it came out, it was like 15 people got sexually harassed at the Redskins. And everyone's like, oh shit, Goodell's going to take the Redskins away from Dan Snyder. They're going to Donald Sterling Snyder. And ain't shit happened, man.
Nope.
That story disappeared faster than Donald Trump's other daughter. That story disappeared faster than Jeffrey Epstein's prison guards. That story disappeared faster than Kamala Harris's actual body before she got replaced by a clone.
Oh man. We're going down the wormhole, guys.
That shit disappeared faster than Kanye West's goodwill that he had built up after he said that he supported Donald Trump because they have the same energy. Thanks, Kanye. Very cool. So a whole bunch of people got sexually harassed. And like when they were talking about it, I thought that like Dan Snyder had like raped someone or like something
right.
that like something that's actually like, I'm going to preface this. The women who reported sexual harassment and misconduct at the Washington Redskins franchise have every right to justice, and the crimes that were committed against them are horrible. The NFL doesn't care about women. And what I'm saying two things here, and this is where I kind of want to like get your feedback on this. The first thing is that I'm jaded enough to know that the NFL doesn't care about women, right? Like if Dan Snyder had been caught on tape saying the hard R, right? Maybe we'd have some movement, right?
Right, that's shocking.
Right, LeBron James would own the Washington Red Tails or Red Hawks, the Washington Seminole Nations. They don't have to change the logo then. But this is not something that the nation or the NFL cares about. They don't care about women getting sexually harassed. It's only when things get egregious like Matt Lauer and Harvey Weinstein, right? But the big difference there is that that's Hollywood, and there's a lot of like progressive people who pay attention to that kind of thing. But the NFL is mostly for fat old white dudes who think Bud Light is one of my cousins thinks Busch Light has like a citrus flavor, and he's like, oh man, this shit is so good. That is who the NFL goes to. And so when these women are like, yeah, this guy said that I've got a really nice ass, these guys who watch the NFL are just be like, yeah, so you do. What's wrong with that? Why is everybody so sensitive? Don't make me wear a mask. So like I have two complaints about this. The first one is that the NFL doesn't care about women and doesn't care about how they're treated. And that is gross and disgusting. And I'm not surprised. And the second thing is that, like, why did everyone act like this was going to be a big deal when, like, I could have told you that this wasn't going to be a big deal? Like, that's a problem. But also, like, why was everyone like, this is going to kill Dan Snyder, when obviously no one cares because the NFL and America doesn't care about women? How did you react to getting the news, Micah, who hasn't talked in like an hour and a half?
I mean, it really didn't surprise me, considering I'd heard other stuff like the essentially pimping their cheerleaders out to the big name.
Oh yeah, he did do that. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. And the fact that, hearing about what Jay Gruden did and how Jay Gruden is the main cause of Alex Smith getting his leg broken.
That video of Jay Gruden, like, drunk out of his mind with, like, the joint, and he's, like, talking to those. He's like, yeah, I'm Jay Gruden. Like, that shit was so funny. Continue.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, man.
You gotta find it. What a piece of shit.
At the end of the day, though, it was, we talked about it, and ultimately the owners don't care, because they're the ones who really have the power to do something. But it's just like, we're just not going to give ownership to anybody else. Look at all the egregious racist stuff that Jerry Richardson did, or who was it, Bob, former Texans owner,
Bob McNair,
the racist, egregious stuff that they didn't force them out either. Now, Richardson, they kind of did, but it wasn't. But they tolerate a lot. Richardson
got kicked out for being racist, right?
Yeah.
Is Jay Gruden married? This dude looking
yes.
crazy.
Look at this guy.
And then he's on the
video. He's like, oh, hey ladies, get that camera out of my face. What are you doing, Sean McVay?
What a goof.
Former offensive coordinator of the
look at this
Washington. Fool. Yeah, look at that.
Oh my God.
He's like, hey baby, how old are you?
Oh my God, this guy. Does he not know?
Jay Gruden is never mind. Sorry.
Scope.
So
but they have high tolerance for their people in their class level. It's like, just let it go. It'll blow over in a little bit.
But so. Josh Gordon wants to smoke weed, and he's banned for life.
Right.
He's the working class.
So the NFL is just a microcosm for America, right? Where, like,
pretty much
rich white people like Brock Turner get away with everything. So, like, Brock Turner raped that girl behind a dumpster. He spent 3 months in prison. And then there's a 15-year-old girl with ADD who didn't do her online school, and she's been in prison for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Donald Trump can just, do whatever he wants. But if I want to go to a protest, I'm going to get snatched up by Customs and Border Protection. What a bag of shit, dude. Ryan, what was your reaction when you saw the news? I was disappointed that this was all it was. And that should tell you something about the world we live in. That I was just like, oh man, people just got sexually harassed and assaulted. I was hoping that Dan Snyder was going to get, detonated, like, shot into the fucking sun. Like, how did you feel when you saw it?
I felt the same way, because I was like, oh good, finally, Dan Snyder's gone. Fans in the DMV area are rejoicing, because the way it was being billed, it was like, this is going to be epic. This is the worst thing to ever happen to a front office. I thought they were going to be like, Dan Snyder has sweatshop in basement where they make Washington Redskins.
Dan Snyder is Jeffrey Epstein.
I thought it was something along those lines. And sexual harassment is bad. It is, but
really bad.
It's not enough to get rid of an NFL owner, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
I was disappointed.
The Braves are losing 6-0 against the Marlins right now.
Yeah. But yeah,
sorry.
I wish it was more, as bad as that sounds, because sometimes someone's got to take a bullet for someone to take out an owner.
I just think that Dan Snyder is just a bad NFL owner in general, right? Like, he's run that.
He's a bad person.
He's run that franchise really poorly, but he's also a really shitty person. and I want to get rid of him before he dies. Because, like, remember, Bob McNair was a nasty racist. Like, Bob McNair would be like a plantation owner 100 years. If he had been born, 150 years earlier, he would have been like, nah, my slaves love living here. They get free shelter. They get food. Slavery is actually really good for them Negroes.
Free shelter?
Yeah. Slavery is a choice. They were happy then. States' rights. But Bob McNair died, and everyone's just like, oh my God. Rest in peace, Bob McNair. And like the Texans had to wear like those patches on their uniforms. And that those guys were just like, what the fuck? I want Dan Snyder to get kicked out of Washington Redskins ownership before anybody thinks about giving him a statue or a fucking patch or a plaque. I want him gone because, number one, he hasn't contributed anything to the game of football. And number two, he's a piece of shit.
I want to cover something real quick before we move on.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
It's the Chiefs, since we're on the Native American teams. Y'all saw Chris Jones, their defensive tackle, got broke off like last week or so.
Sunday, it's like we're going to win 6 championships.
Yeah, I know. It's the wizardry that this team is somehow signing its superstars with no cap money. And we talked about this in the group chat as well. But the Chiefs, if you look at available cap on teams, like the Falcons are in a bad situation every year because they have around $3 million, $2 million left in cap space. And that's an area where you don't really want to be, because if you lose a good player, you can't make any moves. Well, the Chiefs have $177 in cap space, and yet somehow have signed.
I'm sorry, $177,000.
No, just $177, like your college bank account.
I have more cap space than that.
Right. And they've somehow,
and I don't get paid until next week.
Extended Mahomes to a 10-year record-breaking deal for $500 million. Then turned around. Well, here's the cool thing, though. Mahomes said he purposely left money on the table somehow in a 10-year, $500 million contract for Chris Jones. He sent him a text. He's like, let's get this deal done, bro. I left money on the table for you.
No, he didn't. He's just saying that. He's just saying that to Chris Jones, so Chris Jones likes him. He's like, yeah, hey, bro, I didn't. They probably told him in the negotiations, they're like, listen, Patrick, we're going to give you $500 million, but we're not going to give you $750 million because we also want to sign Chris Jones. He's like, bet. Who's Chris Jones? The defensive tackle. And then I can't do it. Yeah, I can't do the Kermit voice. I can't do it. So Pat was like, it'd be dope if I told him it was my idea. That's it. There's no way.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, also on the Pat Mahomes subject, and here's the scariest thing I've ever seen. There was an interview with him earlier, and I think it was
a clown with a knife?
That's even scarier.
Do you guys remember when there were all those stories about clowns being in the woods?
The cornfields?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened with that? They just kind of disappeared?
Let it die, Lionel. Let it die. That is a scary subject. I do not want to bring that back up. There's been enough that's happened this year. We will not give life to the clowns with knives again, Lionel.
Do you remember the clowns with knives that came out? We were all just like, what the fuck is going on? The world is terrible. And now we're like, oh my God, I wish we could bring back the knife clowns. Get rid of the aliens and the QAnons. Donald Trump is president. Makes me wish that there were
knife clowns over there.
I would get chased by knife clowns every night if I'm going into like my trash can or taking my trash out and not have Donald Trump as president. Fuck. All right, sorry. So it's scariest thing, Patrick Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes did an interview. Yeah, I saw it yesterday where he was talking about last year, the year he won the Super Bowl, the year after he won the league MVP, he didn't know how to read defenses, and just halfway through, what's that?
That was on the shop.
Yeah, that's what it was. He was talking about halfway through last year was when he really just started to get an understanding of how to read defenses. So you're telling me that Pat Mahomes, the man who's thrown like almost 100 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons, didn't know how to read a defense, and he was just doing it on the fly?
He was doing it with pure
That makes
skill.
sense, man.
What the fuck?
It really makes sense considering that he came from such a shitty offense in college, Like he didn't learn shit from that guy, and then he
Dude, Cliff Kingsbury is a wizard. That's why he's the head coach of your Arizona Cardinals, who have a better offensive staff than the Falcons.
He didn't learn shit from him, and then I mean they put him right into the fire super quick. So I mean it makes sense that he learned on the fly, but it's just the fact that he's the GOAT.
That's stupid, dude. If Pat Mahomes, if he can stay healthy, God, please let him stay healthy. Like Aaron Rodgers level of healthy, you know what I mean? Or Brady healthy levels. If that man can stay healthy and he just keeps getting smarter, could you imagine Pat Mahomes with Aaron Rodgers' football brain?
Right.
Or Peyton Manning's football brain. You know how Peyton would audible out of, like, Peyton could read a defense before they got out of the huddle?
Right.
You know, like that man was a fucking wizard. Could you imagine?
I liken that to when Steph Curry, like, 2 seasons ago, he was like, oh, this whole time I couldn't even see. So he put on some contacts.
Could you?
It's like Jameis.
What's going on?
That's why he's throwing all the interceptions. Is because, like, when he plays against teams with the same colored jerseys as him, he's just like, what the fuck?
It's a blur.
Is that white with red or pewter with red? I can't tell. He's probably.
I'm gonna throw it
too. Fucking Jameis. I hope he starts for the Saints for the rest of the year.
If you're an opposing defender and Mahomes gets that Peyton level of knowledge, just if you walk up to the line of scrimmage and he starts calling audibles, just walk off the field.
I would leave.
There's no point to play that play. There's nothing you can do.
So do you think Mahomes has – a couple of questions. Do you think Mahomes is going to be one of those quarterbacks that outlasts coaches? You know, one of those guys that's just good. Doesn't matter who's like Peyton in Indy and then in Denver. And do you think Patrick Mahomes has the best chance of going undefeated on the way to a Super Bowl and then winning the Super Bowl, not like Tom Brady? And if not Pat Mahomes, what starting quarterback in the league right now has the best chance of hitting that? Was it like 18-0 or something like that? Yeah, 18-0.
It had to be 19-0 right now.
Oh, yeah, it's true. One extra game.
Oh, okay, touche.
Yeah.
Okay, 19-0. Micah, is Pat Mahomes a generational talent? Will he outlast all of his coaches and Andy Reid? Which Andy Reid needs to get on it. Like, I'm worried about that man's diet. I want you to be around for a long time, Andy Reid. And do you think he has the best chance of going undefeated? And if not him, then who? Jordan Love.
Yes, I do think he'll outlast coaches. Like, you know, there's a lot of questions, certain quarterbacks being kind of system guys. Like a lot of people have said Brady was a kind of a system guy and that his success coincides with Belichick's success because of the system they were in. But I think Mahomes is one of those, like you said, generational talents who, no matter what the scheme is, I think he can be just as dominant. Now, do I think he'll be 19-0? No. I think they have too many flaws in their team to really be a 19-0 team. And with the cap situation, especially for the future, I think it'll really prevent that. If anybody I could see potentially being a perfect season of a quarterback, possibly Lamar in Baltimore, just because of how the team is built. And I mean, they are very strong. I do think they need another bigger target for him, like a receiving target who can move the chains, but Lamar, I think, could potentially lead that team to a perfect season. So,
Mako, same questions.
Hold on, Marco, before you go. You want to see why we're down 6-0?
I'm gonna let you finish, but
or 6-1.
Yep.
Fulte.
Yeah, what we're seeing.
It all makes sense now.
Fulte threw 4 and 1/3 innings, gave up 6 earned runs.
He's so bad. Like, why? Why do we keep? What stuff does he have that makes us be like, oh yeah, Fulte?
He's got a 97 mile per hour fastball.
that he
He'll
can't
probably
use.
pitch. He'll probably pitch a complete game no hitter at some point in the season,
Yeah.
and then they'll give him like a 15-year contract, and then he'll have an ERA over 6 for the rest of his career.
Yeah, he'll
Faulty.
play a couple bad games and then pitch a gym.
Sorry,
Atlanta
go ahead, Marco.
United's at halftime, down 1-0 to Columbus. Interesting. They're using my starting lineup and my formation. Sort of. They're doing a 3-4-2-1.
Frank DeBoer listens to the podcast.
I wish. The backline's Meza, Robinson, and Escobar. The midfield is Bello, Heineman, Adams, and Lennon. I would have started Remedi instead of Mo Adams to go up against Darlington Nagbe. Then you've got Barco and Martinez, Piti as your attacking midfielders, and Adam John up top. So they almost have my lineup, but it's halftime, and PT apparently had a clear chance to shoot on goal, and instead shot into the seats because we paid $20 million for that. Marco, what's his name? Patrick Mahomes. Is he going to outlast all the coaching staffs ever in Kansas City, and is he going to go undefeated?
Yeah, I mean, I think he could potentially outlast the coaching staff, but I don't think he will. I think as long as Andy Reid's gonna ride that out. As long as he's there, he's gonna be with him. I mean, they would have to have a really bad season for them to be like, okay, let's get rid of Big Red. But maybe like he'll pass down. I don't know. I just don't see that. I think he'll definitely outlast Andy Reid just based on his age, but I don't think that'll be like a move that they do to secure more wins or to have a better future or something like that.
Do you think
Mahomes?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think Mahomes is one of those players like LeBron that like can keep a bad coach employed? Like remember when Ty Lue was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavs?
I don't think so, because I think that if Mahomes has a bad year, they'll blame it all on the coach, and they'll just toss him out of there. But and then in terms of the undefeated thing, yeah, like Micah said, that team isn't built to go undefeated. Even though they're gonna run it up on a lot of people. And even I would say Lamar is the best candidate, second best candidate, but that team isn't. I don't think they could go undefeated either all the way through the playoffs, just because I don't know. Every time there's been a chance for someone to scout Lamar, they've completely taken him out.
Yeah, they've got their offensive system isn't super versatile yet.
Yeah.
I think based on what we saw last year, their play style is not sustainable to win that many games. Like you've got to be able to beat teams that load the box. And that's not how Baltimore can beat those teams, but not teams that are good at it. Right? There's a difference between like, I'm going to load the box and like, I'm going to load the box really well.
Right. So in that case, I would say that Pat Mahomes does have the best chance at it, just because we've seen how he can destroy leads. So no matter how bad his defense performs that day, he could, come out in the quarter and they'd be ahead by 15.
Dollar, do you disagree at all?
Yeah, I think there's one guy that is being held back by a system, and we need to free him. And he has the best chance, because I think of the three, he's the most complete, because he can do what the other two do and do it well, and that's Deshaun. I think he can outlast coaches because he can do whatever you ask him to. Lamar isn't there yet because he can't throw it like Mahomes or Deshaun can. And Mahomes is a little athletic, but he's not a threat to really run. Like he'll scramble a little bit, but Deshaun can carve you. If you put Deshaun in that Baltimore system, oh my God. I mean, he's not as fast as Lamar, but he's still fast. But
imagine putting Deshaun in Atlanta.
I remember a train ride home from, it might have been a preseason game, or it might have been one of the games that we went to. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And you said, you know what? I'm tired of it. Tank the season, draft Deshaun Watson. We were on Marta, and you were like, I'm all in for him.
I mean, he's a local kid. He's dynamic. He's talented. He's smart. He makes smart football moves. He's very well coached and very coachable. Until he got to Bill O'Brien, who's I don't know how that guy still has a job. Bring Deshaun home. Has Deshaun gotten his big free agent check yet?
No, not yet.
Okay,
I think he's due.
So I think it's this year. So if the Texans, here's my dream scenario, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I was gonna talk about Deshaun. If my dream scenario is the Texans are awful, right? And Bill O'Brien successfully passes it off on his team, right? And he says, it's not my fault. And Deshaun gets Jameised, right? Nobody wants to give him a contract. Maybe he gets like a little tweak, you know? And they're like, oh, you've got to go somewhere and be a backup because you're black. Because you're not Ryan Fitzpatrick. Arthur Blank, if you're listening, you and Frank DeBoer listening to this podcast together, please sign Deshaun as Matt Ryan's backup. And then fire Dirk Cutter.
It might work out because they exercised his 5th-year option. So he'll be there through 2021. And that'll put Matt at 37, all said and done in Texas.
Pay the man. Bring Deshaun home. Put him in the red and black. Matt's 35. He's a year older than me.
Yeah. So he'll be 36.
37.
At the end of 2021, going in the next year. He'll be 37 going in that year.
Bring him home, Arthur. All right. Let's talk baseball just a little bit. The opening day for your Atlanta Braves is Thursday, I think, or Friday. Hold on. I got Google. I had it pulled up. Friday at 4:10, not at 4:20 because buzzkill. We play the Mets and an American League team. Anyway, we spend like the whole month playing 2 teams, like all of July, all the rest of July, and then halfway in August, I think, which is dumb, but whatever. Major League Baseball. We're currently losing to the Marlins, who are trash and owned by Derek Jeter.
Mets, Tampa, Mets, Toronto, Philly, New York, and then the Yankees for 2 games.
Mets, Tampa, Mets. That was what I was thinking about. So we do get to play the Mets like 15 times in the next 15 days, or something like that. Like it's crazy, which will be good. A couple of things. So today I sent this out in the group chat today, but pitchers are hitting Astros players in spring training games. They hit 3 of them today. Isn't that amazing? And the ump was like, meh, okay. Like nobody cared.
Turn around. He was like, huh, he hit me.
Yeah, I'm just like,
yes, man, get out of here.
And now here the balls on the it was the Royals Astros, and this Royals pitcher hit 3 Astros in a row. It was Springer, Altuve, and some other chump, whatever. Bergman. He did it with the bases loaded. Like, think about the balls on this Kansas City pitcher. He's just like, fuck it. Now it's a spring training game, so it doesn't matter. Right? So like this is the perfect time to whip on them. But you got to know that these guys are just like, fuck. We got 60 games of this. Like, I'm telling you, like,
I better quit.
Sacrifice that one game, man. Like, who could, the bases are loaded and Jose Altuve comes up and you're like, okay, hit him. Then Bergman comes up and they like scored a run. And he was just like, okay, whack. And Springer comes up, you almost take his head off. And they score a run. And he's just like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to hit these guys. Because, like, this guy plays for the Royals at spring training. Who gives a shit? But at the same time, it's just like the bases are loaded. You're going to score runs anyway, right? So I'm just going to make sure that it hurts physically.
Yeah.
The other thing that I saw is that Major League Baseball will allow you to cheer or boo on an app in the stadium. They'll, like, play it over the loudspeakers with all of the sounds coming from MLB The Show. I think that this lasts probably 2 weeks. I plan to spend the entire time that they're doing this logged into Astros games, spamming the boo button. I'll pay for MLB TV to watch Astros games to hear me booing them while they're playing. Fuck the Astros. I hate them. Did we actually have questions for Major League Baseball, or am I just I've just ranted? Really. Yeah, Astros are getting hit. Tukey and Freeman are back. Did you guys hear what Freddie said about this coronavirus stuff?
Yeah.
Happy to be alive or something, did he say?
Dude, he said he was praying for his life. He was like, Lord, please don't take me right now. Freddie Freeman is in better shape than 89% of the population of the United States. Easy. Mm-hmm. Easy. Anybody who's like, well, if you're in good enough shape, this shit doesn't bother you. Wash your fucking hands. What an asshole. But I'm glad that Freddie and Tukey are back. Will Smith is still out. Micah, I want you to guess who the closer is going to be for the Braves until Will Smith comes back.
Green, possibly.
Luke Jackson.
Oh, no.
It's not going to be Melanson?
Nope. Snicker said today that Luke Jackson is their closer until Will Smith comes back.
I mean, I'd let him close against the Astros, but that's about it.
Luke Jackson's never seen a 1-0 lead that he wanted to give up. He's never met a save he wants to blow. He's
Why?
That 98 miles per hour fastball that he has no control over. God.
If you're gonna let Luke Jackson blow the game, you should just put Fulte in, because at least Fulte's got gas. You know, like, why not? Where's Craig Kimbrell? Can we bring him back? So Tukey's back. Yasiel Puig. Remember we were excited about Puig?
Did he say no or something? Because
we said no.
Oh.
Tested positive for corona.
Because he has coronavirus.
I thought that was that we released it to the press release and then he got mad about that or something. But we the ones who said no?
Dollar, do you know who said no to Puig? Did we say no to Puig, or did Puig say no to us?
We said no to him.
Because he has the Rona.
Yeah. We signed him conditionally that he passes his test.
And he failed the medical. Yeah. Well, R.I.P. MV Puig. So Ryan's got a note right here. Puig joins some really all-time great Atlanta sports figures in Carmelo Anthony and Dr. J, and Rasheed Wallace as the greatest players to technically almost be Atlanta athletes and then never play for them. I still want a Carmelo Anthony Hawks jersey. I think that shit would be fucking hilarious. We did sign Matt Adams again. Remember when we signed Matt Adams in 2017 when Freddie went out?
I can't stand Matt Adams.
Me neither. He went from us to the Nats and then won a World Series. I think it was Braves, Nats, Cards, Nats, and now back with the Braves. So he's oscillating. He's one of those players that like we all trade around. It's sort of like, remember Gosselin, who there were like 3 years in a row where we had what's Gosselin's first name?
Matt? No.
Anyway, Gosselin, who's like a middle infielder for the Braves, and like 2 or 3 years in a row, we would trade him at the deadline to the Mets, and then sign him again in the offseason.
Philip. Sound like Kelly Johnson too.
Phil Gosselin, yeah. It would happen. Kelly Johnson was another one where we would just be like, let me trade you to the Mets real quick. And it was always the Mets. And the Mets just like, yo, shit, you got any more of that Kelly Johnson laying around? We're just like, yeah, sure, buddy, here you go. So we signed Matt Adams. Matt Adams is going to play he's probably going to platoon first base. He's going to DH, which is a bag of shit. And so what I got to say about that. But in the good news, Charlie Culberson did get signed to a major league contract. So Discount Dansby's back.
Here?
Yeah, with the Braves. So Discount Dansby and Costco Culberson will be debating which one of them it is when we can't see their numbers for the rest of the year. And the only news that makes me happy about the Nationals, Dr. Fauci is going to be throwing out first pitch on opening day for the Nats.
How's that going?
Nats Yankees. It's
yes,
Nats Yankees. Yeah.
What
America's game
platform. For them
I
to
hope
just
he
be
doesn't
like,
flub it up.
Yeah.
who cares?
This is
Who
right
cares
up
if
there
he
with
doesn't
putting like this is right up there with stuff like painting Black Lives Matter on Philadelphia Avenue and right in front of Trump's tower, as far as like people telling Donald Trump to suck a fat dick. I really like this. I think Fauci's going to throw a really shitty first pitch, but watch this dude like bang out like a 7-8 mile an hour fastball, like right down the middle.
Straight
It's like,
gas.
I've been playing baseball for most of my life. It's actually my favorite sport. Have you heard this man talk?
Yeah.
He also has like the biggest balls. Did you see that picture of him going in and treating an Ebola patient in like 2014? This man was just like, he's the director of like NIH or something like that. No, not NIH. That's Francis Collins, but the national whatever he's in charge of. Like he's got interns that he can send into the Ebola room. And he's just like, nah, I got it, bro.
Do it for medicine.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Way to go, Nats. I still fucking hate you. I wish that you were in Montreal. And I wish that you still had never won. Of course, the 1 year they win a playoff series, they also win a chip. A bunch of fucking dickheads. Arsenal lost. So Arsenal, just personal news. Arsenal beat the top 2 teams in the Premier League the last week. We beat Liverpool 2-1, and they beat Man City 2-0 in the FA Cup. And then they proceeded to lose to the team that is 4th from the bottom, Aston Villa, 1-0 today. So things are continuing about where I expect them to be. From my teams, we beat good teams, and then we lose to really shitty teams, except United. I think that's it. I think that's all we got. Let's skip the lightning round for tonight because I'm out of brain power, and we had Aisha. Let's do Rex. Let's do video game Rex for tonight. I'm going to start you off. Ghost of Tsushima for PlayStation 4 is an open world Assassin's Creed style samurai game. And boy, they've got a Kurosawa mode where you turn it on and it goes black and white with a film grain and everything's in Japanese. And it's like when I walk up and like Jackson and I are, we've been sort of playing it together. They have a setting where you can turn the blood off. So I've been letting Jackson watch me, and we've got this horse named Kage, which means shadow. And Jackson and I are laughing about how like, you hit the whistle for your horse button and the horse just pops up next to you. I was like, well, it's because he's a ghost. Well, how about it's like, come Kage. And Jackson's been like yelling Mongolian that he picked up from the game around the house. He's like yelling at his sister. Him and Violet were outside today. They're like, I'm the ghost of Tsushima. And Violet's like, I'm also the ghost of Tsushima. They're like having like ninja fights. It's a hell of a game. Pick it up. Micah, give me a video game rack.
Lately I've been playing a whole lot of Destiny 2. It's great, and especially now that the new season is about to come out. So
yeah, big news for those of you who don't follow. Bungie bought itself out from Activision within the last little bit. So they've taken on full ownership of the Destiny property, and the content has gotten so much better since Destiny bought themselves out. So if you were playing Destiny and then you stopped, you should again. Marco, I know you're going to say like Candy Crush or some shit, right? Or you've been
I don't play
like,
video games.
Yeah, Beatles Guitar Hero. You got any card games that you've been playing? You do anything for fun? What's something you do? Just tell us something you do for fun. He can't.
Reading this book on Hermeticism.
Ryan, you got a video game rec?
I've actually been playing, thanks to Nicole, I've been playing Animal Crossing, which is so addicting. But it's mainly because life has been a bit overwhelming lately. So I'm like, I need something a little more chill, and I don't want to be too involved in it. I will say, rest in peace, Ralph Gilbreth, my grandfather. He died at 88 years old this past Sunday, more than likely from COVID. So when I say wear a fucking mask, you're killing people. You're literally
killing people.
They cremated him, so we'll never know for sure, but he ran a temperature of 104 and his lungs filled with fluid. So sounds a lot
like the Rona to me.
Yeah, that or pneumonia. But there was an outbreak of COVID in the nursing home 2 weeks before that, or a week and a half before that, and guess what happened?
Where does he live? Where did he live?
He was in a nursing home in Roswell. It's a memory care facility.
That's the most, the highest mortality rate is among nursing homes.
Yeah, I mean, you got people in there that are already weak. So,
yeah,
but,
big shout out to Everton Blair, who's the Gwinnett County School Board representative for my cluster. Representative Blair has been fighting to have Gwinnett County go full digital for months when school reopens. Up until recently, Gwinnett was saying that they're going to start on time and they're going to have kids in the building if they want to be. And other kids were going to be, could stay home if they want to, like if their parents can, like you'd have a choice. Problem with that is that there's a lot of workplaces where if there's the potential for you to send your kids to school, like if you have that option, you can't take time off to be with your kids. So you have to send the kids in, which of course puts the teachers and staff at danger, and then also the kids and all their families and stuff like that. So Everton Blair, he's the first Black member of the Gwinnett County Public School Board. I believe he's also openly gay. He went to a board meeting the other day after like sending us mailers and asking us to call people, whatever. He goes to a board meeting the other day and he talks for like an hour about how he's like, we cannot open schools. And then the chairperson closes the meeting without taking a vote or anything like that, and is heard on a hot mic walking away to the superintendent of Gwinnett County Schools. Oh, I could just fucking choke. I could just fucking strangle him. Old white lady who's already been voted out for the next year. Like she already lost her seat.
I voted her out. Fuck her.
Yeah. Radcliffe or whatever her name is. Lewis Radcliffe.
She's been in for like 40 years.
She's got an elementary school named after her.
Yep.
So Everton Blair puts out a statement the next day that's like, it's really disappointing to me that board person Radcliffe decided to use that language, especially with the history of lynching here in Gwinnett County of Black men. But the most important thing is our kids, right? So I called Lewis Radcliffe to just be like, why would you say that? And her voicemail was full. You can get her phone number on the internet. Her voicemail's full. She called me back.
She did?
And I was like, hey, you shouldn't. Yeah, she called me back like an hour later. I was like, hey, you can't talk about people like that. That's not what you should be doing. That's completely unacceptable, and I expect better from my elected officials. She's like, thank you for your feedback, and hung up the phone. Well, motherfuckers, really? Yesterday, Gwinnett County comes out and says that they're going all digital, joining the rest of Metro Atlanta and all digital learning. So shout out to Everton Blair for fighting the good fight, fighting for our students, fighting for our teachers. We got to fight against the idiots and the Trumpies and all those folks if we're going to survive this shit, at least until we get a vaccine that Kanye will tell you not to take because it's got the mark of the beast in it.
Give me my chip.
You know what? At this point, give me the fucking chip, dude. As long as I can have like actual sports back and like my kids can go hang out with their friends. Okay.
Like I might not be a big fan of the chip, but for my kids, I'm definitely going to put chips in all of them because they're never getting kidnapped ever.
Crews are getting chipped.
Right. You just do like say that you're going to do that. Like go on Amazon and buy one of those like veterinarian like chipping things.
Right.
And then just be like, I'm a vet. Just put it in your kids. That's it. This has been Fish and Grits, the podcast. Oh wait, Ryan.
Shout outs.
Yeah.
Got to get her shout outs. Also,
sauce.
Yeah.
I was getting to that.
Oh, my bad. I'll edit this out. Get back to it.
You're not going to edit it.
I'm so sorry.
This has been Fish and Grits, the podcast. Big shout outs to Sway Sauce, Carl Nyberg's line of hot sauce made here in Atlanta. Find him on Instagram at SWAYY_sauce. They just did a big rebrand. We're going to have some merch out. The peach is fucking dope. He's not going to make any more batches for a while because he said he's done making them at his house. So he's found like a factory to help him make it once he brings the recipes and stuff over. But if you want to get in on the Sway Sauce shit, get on it now. I can't wait till he has stickers. Carl, get me a fucking sticker. Our intro and intermission music are by Juan Solano, who also spins under the name of James Juan 007. Did you know he's got like 3 different stage names?
Yeah, he told me the story behind it.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
To different crowds.
Yep. So he's got James Juan is when he does like Latino music, right? And then Vitilas is when he does like house, and he's got another one that's like hip.
Batillas is for the Latina. And
Okay.
Latino, and then James Wan is for the house club, like frat guy.
And he's got another one for like a hip hop club.
Yeah.
But anyway, I posted a meme on his Facebook account of like somebody like putting on sunglasses. And I'm like, this is you standing outside one of your shows. It was just like, you should check, if you like this, you should check out James Wan 007. I heard he's really cool. But he does a great job. He hooked us up with some really good music. We got any other shout outs for today?
Yeah, I got one. So the guys over at the Atlanta podcast got together with Pontoon Brewing Company, which is right up in you right there, Marco? In Roswell / Sandy Springs
In Marco.
area? In Marco.
Marco.
That's your stepbrother.
So they just released it's a fruited sour. It's got peach tea, lemons, peaches, lemon heads, and peach rings in it. And it's called Plot, Plan, Strategize, Organize, and Mobilize. And you see the Atlanta podcast right up here. This thing is delicious.
Where's it available, fuck ass? I mean, Ryan.
You can only get it on Craft Cellar. It was a limited release. They're going to re-release it because it sold out so fast. But it is super good.
Is that the one you use my credit card to buy?
Yeah. I was like, oh, your credit card's on my app. Cool.
Don't use your stepbrother's credit card.
Yeah. Big no.
Anybody else got a shout out?
Yeah, I got one more. I'm going to shout him out again. Flu at Loving the Flu on Instagram and fluuniversity.com. If you can try his smoked salmon mac and cheese and some of his other delicious, just hit him up on Instagram, and you can pay through his website at fluuniversity.com.
All right, dope. This has been the Fish and Grits, the podcast. Check us. What else was I going to say? Check us out on Instagram at Fish and Grits Pod. We got some merch up over there. Follow us on Twitter, please. We don't have enough followers. Thanks again to Aisha Deal for coming on today and talking to us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week when MLS is still back. Take it easy, everybody. Wash your hands.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.